Hola, yuppie, everybody. Good evening. How is everyone doing tonight? Umineko Pog. Yes. Hi, Candy. How you doing? It is Umineko night tonight. Pog. Let's see. When was the last time I played Umineko? I think last week. So it wasn't all too long ago. How are you? I'm fine. Had somewhat of a tiring day at work, but I'm otherwise pretty okay. Just had my daily walk, then I just made some strawberries and a snack, and now I'm just gonna read some murder. Or maybe some drama, I don't know. Hello, new to the stream. Hi Bancho, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. I hope you enjoy your stay. Hello. Hey, thanks for the knives. Okay, so let's see. Quick recap before I continue again. In the last stream, we had a lot of patented Rosa moment TM. Sakutaro died. Anje killed like all the seven sisters and was like, I deny your existence, but then she was like, actually I do, but not really. And now she wants to like repent for hurting Maria, for saying, yeah, well, Maria, you're kind of silly for believing Sakutaro is real. And Maria may have gone off the rails and gotten like more trauma. Thanks for that, Rosa. Okay. All of the relatives and Nanjo could be seen in the dining hall. I like this. All of the relatives and Nanjo TM. Nanjo sat alone, quietly watching the wind and rain outside. Kraus sat down on the seat of his own rank, with Natsu standing motionless at his side. The other siblings were gathered at the opposite end of the long table, whispering to each other. Man, why is Nanjo here? They're like, why is Nanjo here? He's not even part of the family, you guys. What? Oh man, so this time instead of Beato, it was straight up Kinzo? Maybe it was Kinzo in the previous chapters too, except the second, I guess, and it just happened to be him in a Beato cosplay, you know. She doesn't have to be gone if she becomes her. Hello Tango, hi HKR, how you doing?
ということはつまりわしらの作戦は根底から崩れたっちゅうわけか。
作戦も何もお父様が健在で自ら発表があると言った以上、もう兄さんとのくだらない駆け引きは一切不要だわ。
Whoop. Wait, I'm gonna close my window. There's like kids screaming outside. There we go. It's like 7 p.m, almost 8 p.m, but it's like still super bright. The birds are still going like chirp chirp, and the kids are still like, it's like 3 in the afternoon. We yelleth. Man, they have a lot of energy. Mm-hmm.
血のつながってない私が言うのもなんだけど、あなたたちのお父様、かなり頭はいいわよ。
Cursed image. Good. Yeah, they're good.
日中のやりとりは
Good to hear that you're doing good.
使用人の誰かに聞かれて、お父様に報告されてたのよ。なんてこと。
I mean...
お父様の遺産が目当てで騒いでることは、もうバレバレってことじゃない。
I mean, isn't that kind of obvious, plain as day?
なんてことよ。
I mean, not that Kinzo probably didn't know. Eva uncharacteristically held her head, dejected. If, as Kiria had said, everything had been going according to Kinzo's plans from the beginning, and if this was a success setup that had been kept up for over a year, trying to find the siblings' true intentions, when they had fallen for it completely.
お父さんの耳に入ったとまだ決まったわけやない。
Oh, okay.
いいえ、入ってるに決まってるわ。兄さん以外の全員がお父様は死んでいると言い切り、お父様の健在を信じなかった。ああ、もう終わりだわ。お父様は宣言するのよ。兄さんこそが跡継ぎで、私たちには片翼を身にまとう資格もないと宣告するのよ。
Sounds like a Kinzo thing to do.
私は姉さん、しっかり。ローザさん、マリアちゃんは本当にお父様に傘をもらったのかしら。
Oh, are we doing this again?
マリアちゃんはお父様に会ったかもしれない。でも私たちは会ってないわ。
Are we doing this again?
マリアちゃんがそうだと主張しているだけよ。そんな。
Okay, but is Maria still in this room? I hope not.
マリアが嘘をついているというの？
落ち着けよローズ。マリアちゃんが嘘をつくとは言ってねえ。だがマリアちゃんは素直な子だろ。例えばだが源氏さんあたりがこの傘はおじい様からマリア様に渡すように言われましたみたいな。マリアちゃんは親父に会ったわけでなくてもおじい様に傘をもらったって言うかもしれねえぜ。
Oh, he's not wrong about that.
そうね。
That's a workable
その手
logic.
が考えられるわ。
だがな、マリアちゃんはこう言ったんやろ。おじい様がやってきて傘を渡してくれたと。
Oh, okay, so she did see Kinzo after all, huh?
そう言ったわ。おじい様から直接受け取ったとはっきり言ったわ。
But why would he do that? Doesn't Kinzo hate her?
直接か。お手上げだな。
下手な考え、休むに似たりとはよく言ったものだわ。ちょっと考えてみたら、傘がどうこうなんてどうでもいい問題だわ。
Is it? Kiria,
どうしてよ。
share us your galaxy brain.
マリアちゃんが兄さんに買収されて、あたかもお父様が健在であるかのように嘘を頼まれたかもしれないでしょ。
Nah,
傘
come
が
on.
確かにお父様から渡されたなんて証拠、どこにもありはしない。マリアちゃんが誰から傘をもらっていようとも、あるいは傘なんかそもそももらっていなかったとしても、お父様はもうじき現れる。現れたお父様の前に、傘の問題なんて全くどうでもいいこと。つまり、傘の問題が取り沙汰されるのは、そうでない場合ということよ。
We have to prepare for Kinzo to show up, huh?
何のことだ。
そうか。わかったで。キリエさんが言いたいのはこういうことやろ。お父さんもうすぐでやってくることになっとるが、また難癖をつけて結局現れん可能性がまだ残ってるっちゅうことやろ。
そうか。そうよね。私たちの追求に兄さんが苦し紛れの時間稼ぎでお父様が現れると出任せを言ったのかもしれない。
Okay.
やっぱりお父様はすでに亡くなっていて、兄さんは今なおまだ健在であると嘘をつき続けている。
Yeah, but
つまりお父様が現れれば全ての策は通用しない。考える必要もない。私たちは訴状の運を天に任せてお父様との直接交渉に臨むしかないわ。それこそ土下座とげんこつを覚悟してお金を無心するしかない。
damn, don't you lay a hand on Kirie. I will
でも
throw
逆に
fists.
お父様が現れなければ私たちの当初の作戦は何も揺るがない。
なるほど。つまりどっちに転ぼうとも今さらあたふたする必要は何もないってことね。
そういうこと。
Kirie is calm and collected to the max. I adore this woman.
本来の親族会議が行われるだけの話。現れなければ私たちは引き続き
クラウス兄さんを追求すればいいだけの話なのよ。
お父さんの機嫌が急に悪くなって
Isn't Kraus literally like in the same
み
room?
たいなクラウスさんの言い逃れを決して許さんようにせんとな。
どうやら私たちが本当に検討
I
す
can
べきは
imagine Kraus is like at the very back, like, hey guys, I can hear
兄さ
you.
んがどんな策を弄してこの場をごまかそうとしてくるかよ。往生際の悪さは私が一番よく知っているわ。
So if you can hear me munching, I'm snacking on strawberries.
私たちは土下座してお金を無心し、クラウス兄さんの茶番だったなら、私たちは醜い兄弟喧嘩を再開し、はあ、今年も素敵な親族会議になりそうね。
だな。下手な考え、休むに似たりってわけか。もうじき22時だな。兄貴に催促してみるか。
Yes, press him. Rudolph and the rest looked at Kraus. Kraus, I would love it if Kraus was looking at them dead in the eyes like, hey, so I heard every single thing you guys just said and I have notes. He was sitting down firmly and looked like he was awaiting Kinza's arrival with an air of composure. They couldn't tell if he was really composed or if he was scheming about how to tie together his lie.
あなた。
She's tired.
もう今さらジタバタしても始まらん。源氏さんに任せよ
う。もうじき10時ですね。
10? Okay, that was the time that had been set for tonight's family conference to open. And it was the time that the Ushinomiya family head needed to appear. Right then, they heard the sound of footsteps approaching from the hall. There were multiple sets. Natsu raised her head, relieved. But because of the sound of a knock, her expression was filled with disappointment. Because Kinzo probably wouldn't have knocked.
失礼いたします。
Oh! I missed seeing them, Goda and
戸締まり
Kumasawa.
の見回りが終わりました。
It was Goda and best girl Kumasawa. Okay, best girl next to Beato. Unlike the powerful Goda, yes, he's powerful, Sigma Butchin. It was rare for Kumasawa with her old body to be forced to work this late. Of course, Kraus also seemed to know that.
ご苦労だった。こんな時間まで申し訳ないね、熊沢さん。
いいえ。
Oh, it's nothing. I want a raise.
こう見えてもまだまだ夜更かしは得意でございますので。
Okay. She stays up late watching telenovelas.
熊沢についてだけは
or mackerels, Discovery Channels, reruns.
さすがに体に応えるでしょう。
使用人も全員揃えろとの命令だ。逆らえん。
Tonight's family conference was clearly different from normal. On a normal year, no one was allowed to attend except family members. To have the servants present for such a thing was unthinkable. But this year was different. All the servants were told to attend. Of course, they were not allowed to talk. They were there as observers. Just what in the world was happening that needed to be observed by 5 servants? I don't know. Some mind chess about money? Even Kraus didn't know. Kumasawa definitely watches murder, she writes. Damn, Kumasawa. Getting your murders adapted on TV? Amazing.
徹夜はこう見えても強いんですよ。旦那様もサバをもりもり食べれば夜ももっとたくましくなれますよ。
You'll be more manly at night? What are you implying, ma'am? What was that meant to implicate? I love this woman.
なるほど。まだまだお元気でおられる。
Look at her face! She knows exactly what she was saying.
奥様、勝手ながら軽食の準備をさせていただきました。いつでも配膳できますので、ご指示を頂戴できればと思います。
ありがとう。やはりあなたは気が利きますね。
He just likes to cook. He likes to show off.
コーヒーのおかわりを勧めてください。
かしこまりました。
After nodding, Goda took the pot towards the relatives gathered at the other end of the table. As he did, more footsteps approached from the hallway. It was a single set, and it was light. Even before the nod, they could imagine who it was. Oh, is it Genji?
失礼いたします。
Baby! Shannon!
お子様方をゲストハウスへお送りいたしました。
ご苦労でした。今夜は特別な晩です。緊張感を欠かさないように。
はい。
Is it just me, or I don't know if this was a thing that was pointed out in the previous episodes, but oh no, it was. Never mind. I think in episode 1, it was kinda mentioned in the dialogue that Natsu had some sort of special harshness towards Shannon. Yeah, I'm starting to think there's like a personal resentment there.
かしこまりました。
What did she do? What did Shannon do for you to be so resentful towards her? I want to know. If there is such a thing. Genji had gone with Kanon to meet Kinzo. There was still no sign of their return. The reason I say this is because her tone of voice towards Goda and Shannon is vastly different. Like, Goda speaks of Natsu in high regard, and they clearly respect each other, but Natsu, whenever Shannon, like, exists, she's, like, on the verge of, like, tearing her down. Yeah, you remember correctly. Useless furniture. No, Shannon is not useless. She's a good girl. The hand of the clock passed 10 p.m. slightly. Once sure of that, Eva spoke to Kraus.
兄さん、もう時間だけれども、親族会議まだ始まらないのかしら？
主賓の到着が遅れている。しばらく待ちたまえ。
いつまで？悪いけど時間を切ってもらうわよ。
Oh no, Eva is a
お
type.
父様がなかなか来ないなんてのを延々と続けて夜明けまで待たされたらたまらないわ。
Cool Kinzo just descends from the ceiling like, what's up? I'm here!
親父殿のお越しになる時間を私が約束などできるものか。
The question is he going to show up? I was joking before.
何を焦っているのだね。
I mean, he did like hacking magically toss Kraus around, so I expect him not to show
ま
up.
ずはコーヒーでも飲んで落ち
At
着かん
least
か。
not conveniently.
兄貴、
Goda is also special because he's the only one directly employed by Natsu and not Kinzo. Exactly, yeah, I remember that because Goda talks about it, I believe, either in episode 2 or 3. And he has a high amount of respect for Natsu's. But, like, she obviously respects him too, to a degree, right? Obviously, he's still a servant, but she treats him so differently from Kanon and Shannon, like... There's a very clear difference there. Kinzo, do you even lift? I think he does, in some extent. I mean, he lifted Kraus earlier in the episode.
茶番じゃない。あと30分は待つ。だが、それでダメなら、書斎に押しかけさせてもらうぜ。
押しかけるとは物騒な当主様への敬いにあまりにも欠ける行為です。
Welp.
そうよね。ごめんなさい。あと30分はおとなしくしてるわ。
They break down his door and then he descends from the chandelier like, you break into my house, you!
30分後にも同じ笑いが浮かべられるか。
Kraus is looking kinda confident right now. What did
親
he
父殿が
hatch?
死んでいると本気で信じているのかね。
Eva, you wouldn't believe this shit. He lifted me with one finger and then tossed me across the room. He's definitely real, alright, and alive and well. Just the image in my mind of Kinzo lifting golden dumbbells. He would. I think a younger Kinzo would. And then he's, I guess, magician Kinzo, whatever that was, just flung Kraus around like a ragdoll with a single finger. Probably lifted dumbbells with one finger. I mean, how else do you explain it?
お父様がここにやってくればいいだけの話。兄さんを言いまかす必要なんて何もないもの。
後ろ宮家当主は正当なる人間へ正当なる手続き。お前が何の策を浪したところで何も抗えんよ。もちろん私も
な。何をわけのわかんないことを。今まで散々自分こそが次期当主だと威張ってきたくせに。
お前の言葉をそのまま返そう。
Oh boy.
それを今さら議論する気はないね。親父殿がやってきて自らの口でそれを宣言すればいいだけの話だ。
He's gonna be like, he will toss us all around with one finger and then, I don't know, man.
だったかな。
Klaus casually turned Eva's words back on her. But of course that added oil to Eva's anger. Man, Klaus, you are very good at this. Like, you are exceptionally good at pissing off Eva. Maybe you should watch yourself. But it didn't ignite, because in that instant the sound of a very loud knock rang out. Oh shit. Is it Genji? Both Genji and Kanon were usually very reserved when they knocked. They wouldn't hit the door with such a violent strength. I mean, it was like a just gavel slamming down on a call for silence, so everyone went quiet. Oh, it's Genji! The door opened slightly and Genji showed himself. Then he spoke with a serious tone from his usual one. It wasn't the tone he used when carrying out his duties, it was the tone he used when speaking for Kinzo himself. So just by hearing Genji speak like that, the siblings were struck with a sudden tension. At those words, the dining hall was wrapped in total silence, and everyone hurriedly returned to their designated seats. It was those students who had been bustling around just before homeroom had suddenly returned to their seats when the teacher came. And it might even have looked humorous, but there was no way anyone would joke about it. Everyone sat in order, and Shannon, Goda, and Kumasawa stood up straight in a row by the wall.
金色に輝ける六軒島の領主、後宮金蔵卿のおなりであります。
Oh, so he's here. Of the double doors that led to the dining hall, Genji opened the right door from the inside, and Kanon opened the left door from the outside. You need to adjust the thermostat to get the old man out of his study. Silly adults. What the fuck? He just pops into the image. Like, what's up, you little shit? I'm here. And welcomed by a respectful bow from those two, majestically fluttering his cape, Kinzo appeared. I mean, he pretty much popped into existence like... Kinzo's gait had a dignified weight to it, and it was hard to believe that he had reportedly been at the end of his life. Genji pulled back Kinzo's seat and motioned for him to sit. But Kinzo stayed standing, signaling with his chin for Genji to move back. Man, he doesn't need hands to command. Is he okay?
ようこそ諸君、六軒島へ。何を怯えた顔をしておるのか、エヴァ。
いえ、そんな怯えてるなんて。
Who wouldn't be?
お父様が大変お元気そうなので、ほっとしただけで。
おお、エヴァ、お前は相変わらず面白いな。クラウスとの賭けに負けて悔しいと素直に言えばよいのに。
Man.
言えないよな。
You good, Kinzo? You good? Emma realized that their conversation during the day had been indeed leaked to Kinzo, and she hung her head, turning red.
さてと、我が息子たち娘たち、そしてその伴侶の諸君、お前たちの就寝している我が財産と当主の継承について、今宵は重要な発表をしようと思う。 まず最初に
Now is the time for Kinzo to roast his children. The irony.
私はひどく失望していることを伝えようと思う。
With all due respect, sir, when are you ever not disappointed?
それは今日まで誰にもあの碑文の謎を解くことができなかったということだ。
I think because most of them don't give a shit. Even though Kinzo said he was disappointed, a condescending smile rose to his face, as though there was no way the likes of these could have solved it, and his gaze passed through all of them.
私はあれを解けた者に全てを譲り渡すつもりでいた。しかし今日までに誰も解くことができず、我が全ては誰にも継承されることなくここに至っているわけだ。情けない。
I don't like that look.
お前たちの中に
I know it's the standard Kinzo look, but
人間が現れなかったことが
Welp.
私は心底残念であり、そして情けなくざまあないと思っている。
Sir? The siblings hung their heads in silence. You good, man? Of course they would have solved if they could. True, they couldn't deny that they wasted a golden opportunity, but it was just so hard.
よって私は碑文の謎にて我が継承者を選ぶことをここに中止することを宣言する。
Okay.
つまりはタイムオーバー、ゲームオーバーというわけだ。残念だったな、お前たち。
Game over.
お前たちには等しく公平にチャンスがあったはずなのに、それが今ここについえた。
It truly sounded like Kinzo was making a victory proclamation.
ならば当主は長男のクラウスに継承されるのか？
Oof. I don't think so.
答えはノーである。
Of course he says no. Welp.
分かっているよな、クラウス。お前には確かに次期当主という肩書きを与えた。だがお前はそれに溺れただけだ。次期当主というのはどういう意味かわかるか？
お父さんの後を継ぐという意味です。
Man, he doesn't look fine.
違う。
Come on.
次期当主というのは当主が約束されたものではない。いいか、クラウス。
Is he wailing on Kraus?
二度と教えないからよく聞けよ。次期当主というのはな、自分以外にも当主を狙う奴がいたら、その花を徹底的にへし折って二度と逆らえないようにしてやる奴のことを言うのだ。
So basically you're saying become an asshole?
これは何も当主だけのことではない。金につい
Assert
ても言え
dominance, I
る。
guess?
金持ちというのは金を持っているやつのことではない。自分より金を持っているやつすべてを叩き潰し、そして誰よりも金をかき集められるやつのことを言うのだ。
Jesus.
才能も同じ。天才とは才能に秀でたやつのことではない。自分より秀でたやつをすべて叩き潰し、自分を天才とすべての人間に呼ばせることを力とカリスマで強要できるやつを指している。お前はそのすべてにおいて勘違いしているのだよ。だから
Jesus.
次期当主の器ではないのだよ。
I mean, to be as the successor, I guess you'd have to be as much of an asshole as Kinzo. Who would want that?
勉強になります。
Perhaps that truly was Kinzo's philosophy. As a result of faithfully carrying out that rent-like philosophy of his, Kinzo had glorified the Ushiromiya family to the state it was in today. It may be hard to imagine after his immersion in the occult in recent years, but that brutally overbearing outlook was no more or less than Ushiromiya Kinzo's charisma and aura. I wouldn't call it charisma.
このような不甲斐ないクラウスに後ろ宮家のすべてを継承する資格などない。ならばエヴァ、ルドルフ、ローザの3人にはあるのか？
He's gonna say no!
これもノーである。
Of course.
非分の謎を解けず、さりとてクラウスを引きずり下ろす策も浪せず。お前たちにできたのは3人寄せ集めで共同戦線を張ってクラウスから金をせびろうとしたことだけ。しかもその策も浅はかそのもの。クラウス一人を追い詰めることさえできやしない。
Damn.
次期当主の座をどんなことをしてでも奪い取ろうという貪欲さが足りぬ。
He can say that easily, but I think if he saw Rosa and Eva in episode 3, he would be like, well, shit.
欲しいもののためにはいかなる犠牲も払い、どこまでも貪欲となるべし、強欲となるべし。幸運の女神は貪欲なる者にこそ微笑む。その野生の精神がないお前たち3人にクラウス同様に継承の資格などありはしない。
Eva and the rest had no words to respond with, and they couldn't calculate what it was Kinzo was about to say. Was Kinzo actually planning to proclaim that no one would succeed the headship? If so, that would work to Eva, Rosa, and Rudolph's advantage. After all, in the end, they just have to renegotiate everything among the siblings after Kinzo's death, splitting the inheritance evenly. It would surely be more troublesome if a specific person's name was raised and proclaimed to be the successor. But would Kinzo really say something to benefit any of the 4 siblings after demeaning them so much? Nah, never.
まさか誰にも引き継がないからと財産をすべて慈善団体にでも寄付するとか言い出すつもりじゃないでしょうね。
お父様ならやりかねないという恐怖はあるわ。
Yeah, I could imagine he would throw the gold into the water. Like, they're done.
しばらくは聞き流すしかね
え。では大父さん、次期当主についてはどういうお考えをお持ちですか？
お前たちに完全に失望した以上、私は誰に引き継ぐ気も失った。よって後宮家はこれで終わる。
Okay.
私の代で終わりだ。
そういうわけには。
後宮家などあの震災の時にとっくに滅んでおるわ。今の後宮家など私がつかの間だけ見ている黄金の幻想に過ぎぬのだ。
Nanji and Genji in the back giggling, I got my best friend's money. I think Genji wouldn't give a shit. But Nanjo maybe is like, maybe I can give it to my daughter.
私が夢より覚めれば終わる程度のもの。この世などすべては夢、幻。
Oh no.
聖など死という目覚めの前には白チュームと同じよ。ああ、そうだ。元よりそうだったのだ。私が死ぬ時に全てを失うのがベアトリーチェとの契約、そして呪い。さあ行くか、ベアトリーチェ。お前を捕らえるのはこの私だ。
Oh my god.
今宵それは現実となるだろう。
Will it? For a while, Kinzo was overcome with cackling and his eyes bulged. Damn! Whenever he talked about Beatrice, it was always both eloquent and insane.
お前たちのような愚かなる息子たちなどまさに白チューム。 初めからいなかったも同然よ。
Man.
消えろ、覚めろ。真実の私のまどろみと共に消え去ってしまえ。私を継承するに値する何者も築き上げてこなかった出来損ないどもめ。
金蔵さん、よろしいか
な。何か我が友よ。
He's gonna be like, don't be such an asshole. Nanjo nervously raised his hand, asking to speak. Kinzo allowed him to.
金蔵さんの気持ちもわかる。子供たちを愛するがゆえに。
Because you love your children? Biggest joke on earth.
それゆえに期待を裏切られたような気持ちになる親心。同じく子供や孫を持つ身としてよくわかります。
No, there's no such thing as parental affection and Kinzo. Those two things don't mesh.
しかし、金蔵さんは非凡だ。天才だ。そんな金蔵さんに追いついて当然というんではちょいとひどすぎるんじゃないかね。それでもそんな金蔵さんに追いつこうとクラウスさんもエヴァさんもルドルフさんもローザさんもそしてその伴侶の皆さんもよく頑張っています。
ほほう、よく頑張ってどの程度の金を稼ぎ上げたというのか。
Oh jeez, it all comes back down to money.
ことごとく失敗して借金を抱え、未だに私のすねをかじろうという間抜けどものどこがよく頑張っていると言えるのか。
I don't know. Capitalism is rigged,
この世
man.
のすべては金として結晶しているのだ。それがつかめぬということはこの世を掴んでおらぬという、魂がこの世をしっかり掴んでおらぬということは生きるに値せぬということだ。消えろ、我が生と現実から消え去ってしまえ。
それは暴論です。その理論から言ったら私だって生きていてはいけないことになる。そんな私でも金蔵さんと過ごしたチェスの時間は世の中お金で買えないものもたくさんあることを金蔵さん自身が誰よりもご存知のはずだ。
Such as Beato. As the siblings motionlessly hung their heads, they cheered Nanjo on inside their hearts. Not one of the siblings could offer their opinion in front of Kinzo in a rage, but Kinzo's close friend Nanjo alone was allowed to. Even though Kinzo had raged so fiercely after being admonished by Nanjo, he nodded several times as though in agreement. This surprisingly obedient side of him might have seemed cute, but there was no one here who could laugh.
確かに息子さんたちは金蔵さんほどの財は築き上げられなかったかもしれない。まあそれでも私から見れば羨ましいほどのお金持ちではありますがな。しかしお金だけでなくお金では買えないたくさんのものを築き上げました。
Their own kids, I
それに
guess.
ついて言えば金蔵さんにも負けないくらいです。
ほう、金で買えぬ何を積み上げたというのか。
幸せです。家族です。彼らは素晴らしい伴侶を見つけ子を産みそれぞれの幸せな家庭を築かれています。あなたの一族を繁栄させそして孫を連れ帰ってきてくれました。
Oh man.
孫はいいですぞ。私たち年寄りは私たちには見ることもかなわぬ新しき時代を生きるだろう若き孫に無限の未来を想像するのです。それは老境の唯一の楽しみではありません。
Kinzo and entertainment? Nothing.
思い出しなさい金蔵さん。彼らが初めて孫を連れて帰ってくれた時の喜びを。
What, did he ever have a joy for
息子さんたち
grandkids?
はそして孫たちは金蔵さんの偉業を後の世まで伝え模範としてくれることでしょう。それはお金がいくらあろうとも孤独なる身にはなせぬことです。
The siblings all nodded in agreement. Certainly Kinzo had looked happy when his grandchildren had just been born, back when he still had some sanity in his heart. However, did Kinzo's heart still contain a human's warmth? Ha! Never!
それはつまり私が成した巨万の富の代わりに、金を儲ける代わりに孫を儲けたと、そういうわけか。
いえ、そういう意味では。
私が稼ぎ上げた数百億という財産の代わりに、息子たちは一人ずつ孫を設けたというわけか。
That's not how it works.
それは素晴らしい。つまりは100億を投じて命を一つ生み出したと。
Okay.
そういうわけだ。これは面白い。錬金術的に考えて実に面白い例えではないか。
This man was off the rails.
なんと価値ある孫たちなのか。素晴らしい、素晴らしい。そうなのか、クラウス。お前の娘には100億の価値があるというのか。
Klaus couldn't answer instantly. It wasn't that he didn't have confidence in his daughter, it was because he didn't have a clue what Kinzo was trying to test him with in this question. But when Natsi was then pressed for an answer, she responded, breaking Klaus' silence with an answer of her own interpretation.
はい、ジェシカは100億のお金を積まれても手放せない娘です。その意味において、お金では数えられない価値があると信じています。
ほう、100億の価値があると言い切るか。ほほう。
Okay.
エヴァはどうか。
This man doesn't know how to listen.
お前のところのジョージはどうだ。
Since Natsi had answered that way, Eva naturally came up with her own answer as well. Even though Eva should have known better than to respond to a provocative question like this, she answered as well.
お父様、ジョージには100億の、いいえ、それ以上の価値があります。それはお金で買えないという抽象的な意味ではありません。ジョージは必ずや自らの価値に等しいだけの財産を築き上げるでしょう。お父様の偉業を継ぐにふさわしい孫となるはずです。
Eva sent a glance at Hideyoshi and Natsi as if she'd scored a point. When she heard what Eva had said, Natsi was about to add more to praise for her daughter, but stopped at a glare from Kraus.
なるほど。
Welp.
ならばルドルフはどうか。お前のところのバトラはどうだというのか。
うちのバトラはジョージ君に比べられちゃ言われることは何もね。
He's gonna be like, Battler's a little shit, but I still like him.
誘拐されて身代金を100億よこせと脅されたら、のしをつけて進呈したい程度のやつではある。さらにバカで無鉄砲だ。偉そうな夢やできるわけもねえことを語り出す。その一点においてはバカ100億人分に匹敵する大バカだろうさ。
What about Angie?
バカもできねえ凡人どもが100億人束になってもできねえことをきっとあいつはやり出すだろうよ。ま、俺はどうせこけるだろうとは思ってる。世の中は甘くねえ。しかし100億の凡人を眺めるよりは、奴の人生は干渉して愉快なものになるだろうことだけは疑ってねえぜ。
Yeah. Eva clicked her tongue at that clever style of speech, which would probably match Kinzo's taste. Nah. Apparently, Ronove had done that on purpose, so he grinned back at her. What about Angie?
マリアはどうか。
Oh man.
マリアは私の可愛いたった一人の娘です。お金の価値で測れるものではありません。それだけです。
なるほど。夢と未来、奇跡と可能性は我が魔力の源泉だ。希望をなくしていかなる魔法も力を持ちはしない。すでに凡客であることを証明してしまったお前たちには何を期待することもかなわないが。なるほど。孫たちには未来の可能性があり、魔法的奇跡を期待する価値はあり得るというわけか。
Okay.
それをもって100億以上の価値と言ってみせるなら、わからぬでもない。
When Kinzo got in a rage, he wouldn't let anyone speak up, but even so, he would sometimes accept something on his own while yelling by himself and change his own opinion. That's what this felt like to the sibling. Apparently, even though Kinzo had been disgusted by his unsuccessful children and had cast them away as being unfit for the inheritance of his title or his fortune, he wasn't sure about his grandchildren. At this rate, he might soon say that the inheritance will go to his grandchildren instead of the siblings. As the siblings sat in fear of what their fickle and short-tempered father might suddenly think of next, they carefully watched his every move.
Hmm. 考えを少し改めよ。お前たちに我が全てを継承する気は全くない。しかし、孫たちの誰かにその資格があるかどうかを問うのはなかなかに面白いことだ。いつまでも子供だと思っておったが、ひょっとすると私を驚かせるような原石のきらめきを見せてくれるかもしれぬ。
I wonder.
そしてそれを期待し試すのは、なるほど。我が余生最後の道楽としても捨てがたい。
Side trip?
さて、これはどうしたものか。
That's a good question. What will you do?
ジョージならお父様の後を継ぐにふさわしいと私は自信を持って推薦できます。
Eva claimed that right away. Of course she did. Natsu looked like she was about to follow along, but Kraus gave her a look telling her to restrain herself, so she swallowed her words.
勇ましいではないか。ではこうしよう。後宮家の家督と財産のすべてを受け継ぐ資格があるかどうか、孫たちに個別に問おうではないか。
Okay.
お父様。
しかし、それはお前たちの誰かに間接的に家督を引き継ぐという意味ではない。お前たちにはすでに失望しているのだ。
Oh man.
お前たちに与えるものは今や何もない。何もな。私が問うのは孫たちだ。そして引き継ぐかもしれないのも孫たちだ。それを決して勘違いするな。
お父さんの判断に従います。
同じくだ。
They can easily extort the money from the
親父の
kids.
決定に従うぜ。なあ、姉貴。
It's easier than you think.
もちろんよ。お父様が賢明な判断をされると信じています。
私もお父様の判断に従います。
孫たちをどのように試すかは考えよう。そしてそれはお前たちには今さら関係のない話だ。当主継承とお前たちはもはや何の関係もないのだから。だからこの場ではお前たちに関係のあるもう一つの話をしようではないか。
Which would be?
もう一つの話と。
I have a bad feeling about this.
それこそが今宵の、そして後宮家最後の親族会議の本当の理由だ。
Don't tell me you all are going to be the sacrifice for Beato's first night. Oh my god, I'm nervous.
求めるのは議論でも意見でもない。我が儀式に協力を求めるためだ。
Yeah, okay, he's gonna kill them all.
静かに。お父様がお話をなさっている最中よ。
Rudolph and the rest had automatically narrowed their brows at the occult-like word. Could he be planning to start some strange ceremony involving Beato to reach his resurrection again? Yes. And he wanted their assistance? What in the world was he planning to do? Murder! In the past, he had carried out many eccentrics that he called by the same name, such as starting to burn a strange incense and filling the whole mansion with the stench. To the siblings, the ceremony was nothing more than one of the aged Kinzo's obnoxious hobbies. Oh yeah, murder is certainly included.
儀式とは一体。
私たちに協力できることなら何でもご協力します。ねえ、ローザ。
ええ、でも一体何を。
私が碑文に刻んだ通りの儀式だ。
He's gonna be like, congratulations, you're all going to
ベ
die.
アトリーチェを蘇らせ黄金鏡の扉を開く儀式である。肉体の檻を逃れ私の指の隙間を嘲笑うようにすり抜けるあの魔女を屈服させる私の最大の秘術だ。そのために13人もの命を生贄に捧げねばならぬがな。13人もの生贄は容易には集まらん。しかし今宵は親族会議。これだけの大人数が六軒島に集まった。
Alright.
この儀式が行えるのは今日を置いて他にないのだ。
Okay. Time to have some murder. Taken literally, it sounded like he was telling them to become a human sacrifice for a dark ceremony and die. Ridiculous. Was it some kind of metaphor? No, but they didn't even have a clue what he was trying to illustrate. The siblings whispered together about what Kinzo was saying. Oh man, you guys are in for some treat.
だろうな。
I like how Rosa is the only one who's like, something sus.
ごめんなさい、お父様。どういう意味でおっしゃられているのか分かりかねます。
何が分かりかねるというのか。私は至極単純に話している。ベアトリーチェを蘇らせる儀式のためにこの島にいる人間から13人を選び、生贄に何の価値もないお前たちも我が儀式の生贄としてなら大いに役に立てるというわけだ。聞け、これは冗談でも何でもない。我が人生の最後に欲する最後の賭け、最後の儀式である。
Oh no.
この島には今13人を超える人間がいる。つまりこの膨大な数の生贄を容易に満たせるだけの頭数が存在するというわけだ。
How many was it for the first
お前
night
たち
again?
は我が儀式の生贄となれ。
Uh-oh.
金蔵さん、あんたまさかあの話は本気だったのかね。
He's pretty
冗談で
serious.
はなく。
Unusually for him, Nanjo's face changed color as he stood up and shouted. Seemed this wasn't the first time Nanjo had heard all this dark talk about 13 sacrifices.
すまんな我が友よ。あれは冗談でも何でもない。我が生涯を賭して最後に挑む儀式でありゲームなのだよ。そう、これはゲームだ。
Oh yeah, killing
お前
people.
たちにとって我が財産を得て島を出ることがゴールならば、それを達する方法は2つしかない。13人の生贄から逃れ見事生き残り、今更ながら碑文の謎を解いて儀式を止めてみせるか、私を殺しこの儀式を止めてみせるか。この2つしかない。
Welp. By now, everyone wasn't just whispering, but chattering and muttering away. Even the siblings had noticed that Kinzo was beginning to act abnormally.
お父さん、少しお疲れなのでは。
Maybe?
源氏さん、お父さんは少し酒を。
いいえ、親方様はご明晰であらせられ。
Oh no! He is entirely sober.
何を言い出すのかさっぱりだぜ。親父が愛する魔女を蘇らせるためにどんな怪しげな儀式を追っ始めてもそりゃ自由だぜ。親父の趣味なんだから。だがそいつに巻き込まれて生贄にされるのはまっぴらごめんだぜ。
I mean, who would freely want to die here?
ルドルフ、 お父様の話に口を挟む気？
Yes?
何言ってんだ姉貴。こんな物騒な話にはいそうですかでうなずけるわけねえだろ。
Was the ceremony Kinzo had mentioned literally something disturbing, or was it some kind of test to choose a successor? Seeing that Rudolph had taken it literally, but Eva apparently still believed that it was something like a test or examination to find a proper successor. But Kinzo responded with a clear smile.
さて、私からの話は以上だ。異議も意見も何にも必要はない。4人の不出来なる息子たちがいたという私の夢が覚めるだけの話なのだ。お前たちにとってこれより目の前で起こることはまさに夢、幻、あるいはこの世のものと思えぬ理解に及ばぬ世界だ。
Oh jeez, I'm not looking forward to this.
しかしそれこそが我が現実。お前たちという出来の悪き浅い夢は今こそようやく覚めるのだ。さあ、もうゲームは始まっているぞ。
I am. Oh no.
これだけいては
I'm not looking forward to it,
誰
Gory.
から命を奪えばいいものやら。さらばだ、出来の悪き息子たちよ。そして生涯でただ一度、そして最後に私の儀式のために役に立て。いでよ、ペンドラゴンの記念兵たちよ。
Wait. When Kinzo raised his arms high like an opera singer and yelled as though towards a packed audience, the air shattered like glass, and the outlines of 3 people who supposedly hadn't been invited to this island appeared. What? God damn it, he summoned bunny girls! I'm glad they're back. They're good lesbians. Oh, we have a third one now! Okay! 3 girls with strange forms suddenly appeared behind Kinzo. Where from? When? Who? Who were they? They're cute bunny girls. Sorry. The humans were thrown off balance and their minds went blank. Because they spent all the time thinking they lost their last chance to survive. Now my video with Kinzo is canon. All hail Kinzo the Summoner. Poor Beato. Oh no! Oh, I just saw she has a little cut on her ear. That's cute. Unrestricted firing. When 410 stretched the air with her finger, a golden ball appeared in empty space and she pulled its string. The golden arrow had been ready there, was fired off without any hesitation, flew around the room, leaving haphazard gold curves everywhere, and chose Nazi from among those sitting at the table of the family conference, pulverizing the left half of her face. No! No! Why Nazi first? Come on! Flesh and deep red blood scattered around, leaving massive red splatter marks on the relatives' faces and the pure white tablecloth. Silence fell. Despite the massive number of deep red spots left on the tablecloth, no one could understand why Nazi's head was half smashed, nor why she was hanging her head as though dozing while still sitting. And they watched on in silence. Those sitting on Nazi's right hand side were silent for a relatively long time. But those sitting to her left were not, because the people sitting on the side had been shown how her head had been smashed open like a watermelon or a pomegranate, and could even see inside her. Ugh. Man, Kraus is not okay. Don't you shit talk, my girl! After scratching the empty air in the same way and riding her bow, 00 fired as well. After it flew around and around at high speeds like the golden arrow, 410 had released, throwing a convoluted curve in the same manner. It smashed half of Rudo's head in the same way as he looked at Nazi in shock, killing him instantly. Man, This time everyone managed to avoid freezing up mentally. They realized that a fearsome murder had started playing out right in front of them, just as Kinzo had said. And they realized that Kinzo would probably kill even more. Well, everybody is losing their shit! Shrill screams burst out. Even so, they didn't know what to do, so they could only keep screaming and flapping their wide open mouths like goldfish. Killing people. As Eva asked Kinzo that in total shock, Hideyoshi had come to his senses faster than anyone else and risen to his feet, pulled at her arm from behind. Oh no! However, Merciless Fate's choice for the third sacrifice was Hideyoshi. No! Just like the two before him, half of Hideyoshi's head was neatly smashed. And the right side of his head, which happened to be facing the direction at the time, had been blown away with its contents exposed like a watermelon or a pomegranate. So, still holding Eva, Hideyoshi slumped backwards and fell down. Still held by her beloved husband, Eva fell over backwards with him. Oh no! Oh man, Eva screamed. It was only natural. The face she had been looking for had been half lost, and the crushed skull, the mashed brains, and the crushed jaw all lay bare. Oh man. 3 are left. He's next. When Kraus stood up forcefully and was about to rush Kinzo, 00 blocked him. With her slender-looking body, she held back Kraus with just the palm of her right hand. Jesus. He still tried to resist and attack Kinzo, so 00 lifted Kraus by the nape of the neck and twisted into his Adam's apple with her thumb. It seemed to be very painful, and Kraus was overcome with agony. Okay, he's next. Oh boy, Nanjo Sharp Force finally dissolved the spell that had been holding them down in their chairs. When Gold and Kumasawa each tried to escape from the dining hall first. Uh-oh! 410 moved in an instant and appeared there, blocking the way. Oh no, they're next. Even though Goda didn't understand, he crouched when he heard Kirya's sharp voice. Then a burst of air rushed above his head. Kirya had taken a big swing with a chair to Mao 410 down. Man! I love this girl! I love her! Queen shit! But 410, still with a mocking expression, easily caught that widely swung chair with a single hand. Fuck! She tried her best! No! Oh, Kirya's next. On the cuff of her arm where she had caught the chair, something like a shiny golden snake appeared, wrapped itself around the chair and burst open. It was a fearsome power like a vice. Piccolo, duck! When Kirya realized that the being in front of her, which looked like a girl, was actually something that surpassed human knowledge and that a human could not even begin to oppose, her head was filled with a fierce alarm bell that welled up from deep inside her. Kenji, Shannon, and Kano, all the servants permitted to wear the one-winged eagle, continued to stand calmly at attention by the wall, even with a scene like this with their eyes. Sorry, making them look very bizarre and eerie. And for an instant, Kirya thought they'd managed to stay calm because they were with the enemy, and had given them a guarantee they wouldn't be killed. Wait, I got the wrong word. It's dodge. Yeah, okay, yeah, you're right about that. But as soon as she thought that, the sight of Genji's face was blown away before her eyes. Well... Well... Okay, bye, Genji.
そなたの死は無駄にはならぬぞ。我が愛しき魔女復活の重要なる13の鍵の一つとなるのだから。
Man, what a friend you are. The half of Kenji's expression that remained was as indifferent as ever. He tilted, fell over, and sent a blood-red splatter out across the floor.
Kenji-sama.
僕たちなんて所詮は魔女の駒なんだ。所詮
From the meek and frustrated, no resigned expressions on Shannon and Kanon's faces, one couldn't sense any naive hopes that they'd be resurrected. That's right. Kinzo was, in the truest sense, carrying out these murders at random. In the truest sense, he was killing like it was a game to see who would be saved and who would be killed. Well, two left. 410 looked at Kiria for a second. In that second, Kiria was prepared for her own death. But when she readied her golden bow in midair, 410 was looking at someone else over Kiria's shoulder. So as imprudent as it was, Kiria felt as though she had been saved. Oh! Again, another exploding popping sound rang throughout the room. Who was it this time? When Kiria turned to face the direction of the sound, she saw blood gushing like a fountain and Eva lying on her husband's chest. Of course her face had been half smashed just like her husband's. 410 had mercilessly charged Eva as she clung to her husband's corpse, sobbing. Oh man, Rosa, you're next! Oh boy. Kenji, oh, another flesh wound. It's no big deal. Rosa's objection didn't reach Kinzo as he continued to laugh loudly in the blood-splattered dining hall. And she wasn't able to lessen Kraus's pain at being lifted up by the nape of the neck by 00. So Rosa had no choice but to use force. She lifted up a chair beside her and gave a warning.
できぬな。自らの運命は自らの手で切り開け。
Do it! Kill him! Kill him!
常に誰かの背に隠れ、怯えてきたお前に宿る人生最後の国旗を見せてみよう。
She's gonna do it! Yes! Kill him! The chair that Rosa had lifted up swung down at the father who had reigned as a symbol of terror for her entire life. It was the greatest and final act of bravery and self-control in Rosa's life. What Kinzo had said might have been true. If she had grasped that courage much sooner, her life might have become more free, unrestrained by anyone else. Well, she's next, I guess. Then there was a bursting sound. She's dead, I guess. The sound of Rosa's chair fiercely hitting Kinzo could not have been this. With the chair still lifted up, she neatly lost half of her head and slumped over. Oh man, I really wish she beat up Kinzo. Still holding up Kraus with one hand, 00 had struck her other hand towards out Rosa. The golden snake released from that arm had constricted Rosa in a helix and had smashed into her head.
防衛射撃資金弾の無礼をお詫びするであります。
構わん。これで6人であるか。
はい、ゴールドスミス卿。
Okay, so we still have Kitty, I guess. When she indifferently communicated that, 00 let go of Kraus, whom had been lifting up this whole time. Oh, and Kraus still lives, I guess.
第一の番の生贄はエヴァにルドルフにローザ、夏日、秀吉、そして源氏である。
It was a massacre that happened in an instant. The interior of the dining hall had been dirtied by blood splatter, and the 6 unlucky victims lay with their heads brutally exposed. In a way that was fitting for that abnormal space, Kinzo's abnormal laugh alone echoed out.
いよいよに幕を開けたぞ。ベアトリーチェを蘇らせる儀式の始まりだ。運よく第一の番を逃れた者たちに我が友人たちを紹介しようではないか。入れよ、我が友よ。
Okay.
ロノウェイ。
No! Help! Help! I wasn't expecting him to call him. Sir, when Kinzo called Ronove's name, the demon butler showed himself in midair, bowing respectfully.
皆様方、はじめまして。
I'm pleased to meet you too, sir.
そして、
I'm happy to see you
ご無沙汰の
again.
皆様におかれましてはご
It's been a long time. I haven't seen you in a long time.
これはまた派手に散らかされましたよって。
Yes, it's very unkind.
我が白昼夢のごとき日々を覚ますにはこの程度の刺激が必要だ。
Nobody cares, Kinzo. That's my man right there.
我が友人であり頼れる執事であり72柱の大悪魔であるロノウェだ。
Yes, thank you for introducing my man. Now, if you'll excuse us, I'll just go have some tea with him in private. Just who was he making that introduction to? Me! Me and the others who are alive. Kraus and Kiri, who are still down on their backsides, and Nanjo, Gold, and Kumasawa, could only look up at this middle-aged gentleman they didn't know in shock. Only Shannon and Kanon seemed to recognize him, and they bowed deeply.
Yeah,
he's dead. He didn't seem to care. He's fine. That's very gentle of you.
続けて友を紹介しよう。入れよ、我が友ワルギリア。
Wait. Hello, milady. But the second question is, so is she in the same room as Kumasawa? Okay. Once again, a silhouette of someone the relatives didn't know appeared from empty space. She appeared in a refined dress while making an elegant greeting. Hello, everybody. Meet Kumasawa, Electric Boogaloo.
許されるならば、このような血生臭き場に呼び出されたくはありませんでしたが。
こやつも紹介しよう。我が友であり、頼れる相談役でもあるワルギリアだ。
Okay.
偉大なる有限の魔女であるお前の力を我が儀式に借りたい。その力を貸せ。
お断りしようにも、あなたの強力な召喚霊族下にある身ではそれも叶いません。
Okay.
親方様。
それにしても恐ろしいお方。
Show us your smile, Virgilia. She's so gorgeous.
シエスタの姉妹兵を3人も召喚し、私に加え、さらにワルギリア様までも召喚せしめるとは。
I thank him for summoning both of them. Yes, I'll. If you'll excuse me, I'll manifest myself into the game board. Come into the room, just grab Ronove by the hand and say, be like, I'm sorry, I require his services, and then just leave without elaborating more.
お嬢様をもはるかに上回るとは恐ろしい。後ろ宮の地に戦慄を覚えます。
I'll make you shudder at something more than just Ushiromiya blood, sir. Just you wait. Just you wait.
ベアトリーチェ復活の儀式を執り行うために私は召喚師としてのすべてを尽くすだ。
You be smug. I'm more than just being smug right now.
足りぬな。この度の儀式の完璧なる遂行のために さらに召喚しよう。
Okay, whomst else?
ペンドラゴンの記念兵にロノ上にワルギリア。
Are we going to get more bunny girls, maybe?
まだ
Or
呼べ
the
る
seven
ぞ。
sisters?
我が魔力ならまだまだ呼べる。
We still have to see the seven sisters, so maybe they're
我
next.
が召喚に応えよ。72柱が一人。ガープよ。
Whomst? I'm sorry?
ガープ
Gap?
あれまでも権限できるというのですか
Who is she?
さらにこの島の侵食が進んで
Or
いる
him?
こと
Or
です。
them? I don't know. Gap sounds like a fem name.
私たちが権限できているほどです。今さらどんな大悪魔が呼び出せたとしても驚くには値しますまい。
もはや六軒島は完全に異世界に飲み込まれているということですか
Maybe.
彼が屈服しないと良いのですが。
前回たっぷり入れ知恵をなされたでしょう。この程度では今さら屈服しますまい。
Oh yeah, okay, I see the chat is
おそ
excited.
らくです。
Who is... I'm curious who this girl is. Or a man? Demon?
さて
Demps?
私たちはこの舞台を楽しもうではありませんか。今回の主人公はどうやら親方様のようだ。お嬢様とは
I'm expecting someone who is femme presenting based on the name, but maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. That's a lot of blue. When Kinzo strongly concentrated his magical power, a pale light gathered in the empty air, twisted, and a magic circle was drawn there with a deep red glow. Oh, I was right! And oh, my lady! Hello? Hello? Oh no! I'm in danger! And with the sound of like glass breaking, a new demon could be seen there.
よくぞ我が呼びかけに応えた。
Side booba ahoy!
72柱の大悪魔が一つ。ガープよ。
Wait. I need to see her sprite again.
すごいところに呼び出されたものね。
Oh my god, her voice! And I just realized the side of her dress entirely, like the entire side of her is exposed. Ma'am, those
こ
thighs!
の血まみれの部屋を掃除するために私は呼び出されたのかしら。ゴールドスミス。
I love her voice. I love it. The literally devilish woman wrapped in a venomous omnious costume. What do you mean omnious? It's just sexy. It looks like she walked out of a sex shop with a lingerie or something. Looked at the scene which should have been made her cover her eyes and twisted her mouth in a grin.
そのためだけにあなたを呼び出すとしたらカシミヤのマフラーで
Forgot the sides though. I think it's intentional.
お久しぶりですね、ガープ。あなたのような大悪魔がとうとうこの島に現れてしまうなんて。
I like this music as well.
この島も幻想に
I'm surrounded by handsome demons. I have one here, and now Gap is. I'm sorry.
ピアノ参上よりもこの豪華キャストの方が驚くべきね。
And she has like such a good voice.
シエスタ姉妹が3人もいて、大悪魔ロの上に大魔女マルギリアに私まで。これは何事？ここはパンデモニウム？
There's just a lot of
地
murder.
獄の演奏会でも始めるつもりかしら。
Yes.
なるほど。そこで指揮棒が震えるのはあなたぐらいしか思いつかないわ。
そなたにはベアトリーチェを蘇らせる我が儀式遂行のための進行役として協力してもらう。我が召喚契約に依存はないな。
依存もない。
Look at her expression.
天下の大魔女ベアトリーチェを刺激した伝説の大召喚師ゴールドスミス教の召喚霊族に私が抗えるわけもない。協力はするわよ。もちろん見合ったお題もいただくけどね。
I'm kind of wondering the logic of her arm sleeves though.
Ne?
Are they like a separate cloth piece, or is it like somehow still connected to the dress?
最初の仕事は
This looks more like a double-sided apron than a dress. Let's be real.
第一の番を免れた間抜けどもを捕らえよ。幸いにもここにはまだ7人いるではないか。
Oh, she's gotta capture all of
南
them.
條にシャノンにカノン、ゴーダに熊沢、キリエにクラウス。ほう、この7人をまるまる生贄に捧げればちょうど13人だ。
Oh, so we'd have only the kids surviving, I guess. Sons, Kado, and Shannon.
タイミングが訪れるまで生贄の檻に放り込んでおくがよかろうが。
It's a housewife battle attire. I can agree with that.
カシミヤの雑巾だけね。了解したわ。
A cashmere mop. As Gab shrugged her shoulders, she looked at Kraus, who was still down on his butt. She glared. Then when she snapped her fingers, Kraus was swallowed up by the floor, as though a round pitfall had opened up beneath him. Bye, Kraus.
言っちゃ上がる
There was no hole in the floor, but it had certainly looked as though Kraus had been swallowed up by a hole and disappeared. Oh shit, he... collision break glitch! Welp, Kirie, time for you to go into the collision break glitch too! Goodbye! Searching for her next prey, Gab's gaze crossed Kirie's. She snapped her fingers. And your collision is gone, goodbye. Kirie jumped back as though repelled. Her instincts had been right. After all, in the place where she had been until a second ago, a round jet black hole had appeared, the same kind that swallowed up Kraus. Oh, she escaped! Bethesda! Damn it, Bethesda! Giving Gab too much power. However, before she could catch her balance, another pitfall appeared and swallowed her up. Even Kirie had no way of eluding Gab's capture. I love this! Bye, Nacho! She snapped her fingers again. A shocked Nacho was swallowed up by the floor and disappeared. So long! When she did it again, Form the 10 let out a short yell and jumped back. This time, a slightly larger pitfall had opened, swallowing both Shadow and Kanon, who had been standing in the line by the door. But because Form the 10 had jumped away from the door, there was no longer the way was no longer blocked. Oh! Instantly aware that he would be next, Goda dashed through that door. Of course, Kumasawa also escaped with lightning speed, chasing after Goda. I want to see Kumasawa talking to Virgilia. I want to see what dialogue they'd have, since basically she awoke from Kumasawa, so either they are the same, or like a persona born out of Kumasawa who's like a separate person. As Gab snapped her fingers over and over, round jet black pitfalls opened one after another behind them, chasing them. However, they did nothing but drive the recklessly fleeing pair away and couldn't swallow them up. Mackerel pun overload. Imagine making mackerel pun so much you create a witch. Well, then Kumasawa had escaped in a matter of seconds.
鈍ったわ。二人逃がした。
ご安心を。逃走目標を補足中であります。
I literally can't get over Gab's voice.
データリンクよし。
I fully expected, when I saw her design first, I fully expected her to have a voice like the Chiesser sisters, like something more higher pitched, but no!
いいえ、それは許可できませんよ。貴重な生贄です。親方様の許可を待つように。
大ゴールドスミス卿、指示を待ちます。
第二の晩の訪れにはまだ早いと我が魔力の源泉がささやいておるわ。今はならぬ。好きにさせてやれ。どうせこの島からは逃げられぬわ。
親方様の魔力の源泉とはすなわちノイズとリスクと運試し。つまりは気まぐれというわけですか。
そうとも言うかもしれぬ。ガープ、ご苦労であった。儀式はこのまま着実に進めよう。さて、それはそれとして、次は我が孫たちだ。
Oh god, are you gonna put them all into the cage too?
次期当主たる資格があるかどうかを試す。はてさて、どうやってその資質を確かめたものか。
That's a good question.
その資格があると判断されたなら、ベアトの復活を断念されるおつもりで
By crying? I guess. You'd be better to cry. No!
無論だ。にもかかわらず試す。女の身にはわからぬであろうな。この矛盾、我が狂気など。
Damn, Kinzo, don't be sexist. Don't be sexist.
相変わらず
Women are getting your job done over here, so shut up.
リスクを遊ぶという概念わかりかねるわ。
おやおや、あなたはそういうのが大好きかと思っておりましたが。
Oh yeah, they're both demons, so they probably know each other.
もちろんよ、男に危険なリスクと一緒に恋をささやかれたらキュンキュンしちゃうわ。
Oh! Okay!
ただし、イケメンに限る。
Only if he's hot, like, I know, well, there is someone right next to you who applies that description. But sorry, I'm already claiming him. You can't have him.
お静かに
I'm sorry.
死後は慎むように。
実にかしましい奴らだ。
They're getting your job done, shut up.
だが少なくとも退屈はせぬ。
They're more interesting than you. Kin's sex is preposterous. Man, he summons women and a single man to get his job done, and then he's like, man, women.
これだから召喚は愉快なのだ。そなたらには我が儀式のノイズとリスクの天秤の片側を担ってもらうぞ。
Six brutally murdered corpses lay in the dining hall, and it was contaminated with red, gruesome decoration. It was now unimaginable that, until just a second ago, 13 humans had been arranged here in a well-organized manner. Kinzo lined up the famous demons and their subordinates, loudly declared the beginning of a night of overwhelming mass murders, and swore to himself that he would certainly revive Beato and open the door to the Golden Land.
待たせたな。
Hi, my beloved!
これにて第一の番、いよいよ開幕。
I'm glad she's here too!
金蔵め、相変わらず派手を好む男よ。付きまとわれればしつこいことこの上なき男も、舞台の上ではこれほどまでに映えるというのか。
相変わらず黒い殺し方ばかりしやがって。
She's like, well, it's my trademark.
頭部半壊だ。てめえら魔女ども悪魔どもの悪趣味には相変わらずうんざりさせられるぜ。
Hey, at least they died instantly.
頭部半壊。なるほど。これまでのゲームで一番理想的な殺し方がこれだと気づいたわけね。
理想的？このひでえ殺し方がどう理想的だってんだ。
It's grotesque enough to look magical, but still doable with, let's say, like a shotgun.
実
Oh, she's here!
じゃない。一番最初のゲームを思い出してみるといい。
お前はさっき登場しやがった新しい悪魔とかいうやつか。
Yes, and she's very welcome.
くそ、また魔女の侵食が進んでろくでもないやつが増えたというわけなのか。
Yeah? What about it? The more the witch corrosion advances, the more Rokenjima tilts towards the spirit world. That's why strange, insane people keep appearing one by one. This island has been closed off by the typhoon, so no human can leave it, much less appear as a new character to increase their numbers. But the more the corrosion advances, the more witches and demons can appear without limit, increasing one by one. By now, there might be more demons than humans among the characters appearing in this insane tale. Their numbers might be the thing that represents this mad corrosion. Yeah, I'm sure that's true. And the corrosion hasn't just affected the number of people, but apparently their fashion sense as well. Come on! Don't diss her! If the corrosion advances any further and even more weird people appear, just what in the world will they be wearing? It's so scary I can't imagine. Come on, the Seven Sisters have their whole ass out. Don't be like that. Ah, seriously, give me a break. Don't make these weird guys increase in number anymore. No, increase them in number. I want to see them.
まだまだ増やすぞ。人間どもの語るクローズドサークルなる間抜けなルールをわらわがいくらでも怪我してやろうぜ。よく来たな。我がガープよ。
Yes, welcome.
お久しぶりね、リーチ
ェ。リーチェ！お！
お元気だった？
That's so cute!
というかずいぶん元気そうじゃない。あなた。
Oh, they look a bit. They have a few similar traits. Both blue eyes and brown hair. Though Gaps is like way more vibrant.
私が知ってる頃より200-300歳は若々しいわ。
Batter sure is scared. Please no more babes with fuel clothes. Well, we're gonna have to deal with it, man.
ああ、なるほど。
The demon grandfather had summoned and introduced as Gap took a glance at me, then grinned as though she figured something out on her own. That smile felt openly obscene.
Beatoの友人らしいな。
No more bullies, please! At least this one isn't wearing a leotard. Well, yeah, point made.
ってことは、輪をかけてろくでもねえやつってわけだ。
How dare you?
しかし、クローズドサークルがなんとかって言ってやがったが、どういう意味だ？
今の六軒島のような外界から断絶された場所で起こる連続殺人ミステリーはクローズドサークルとも呼ばれるわ。外界からの断絶、つまりは閉じられた輪の世界というわけ。故に登場人物と容疑者は限定されるのが一般的。にもかかわらず新しい容疑者候補が次々に輪の外から追加されていくのはミステリーの作法に反する。つまり人間とミステリーに対する魔女の冒涜ってつもりなんでしょう。
Yes, fuck the mystery genre, I guess.
あなたがグレーテル？なるほど。賢い子みたいね。そういう子は好きよ。舌が甘くてとろけるから。
Oh man!
気色悪い。冗談は服だけにしておいて。
デビリッシュプリティの最新作。ジャック・ザ・リッパークリスマスブラッド。
Oh my god, she's fashionable.
人間界の田舎娘には理解できないセンスでごめんね。
I love her.
通気性がいいのだけは理解できたわ。ついでに頭にも切れ目を入れたら。
Oh my god.
通気性も良くなるかもね。
ガープは魔界の流行にいつも敏感でな。しかし今年の流行りも実に大胆だ。わらわも一度ぜひ取り寄せてみるとしよう。
Oh man!
リーチェにはアリグレがおすすめね。アリス&ザ・グレーブヤード。
I wanna see that one.
一緒に666にお洋服見に行きましょうよ。
I wanna go to that store.
魔界にもいらっしゃいな。
このゲームを終えたらぜひそうしようぜ。
それにしてもリーチェの対戦相手のお二人はなかなか可愛いわ。この子なら頭部半壊死体にどういう意味があるか察しがつきそうね。わかる？お嬢ちゃん。
Do tell.
こいつは一番最初のゲームを思い出せと言ったらどういう意味だ？
言葉通りの意味を一番最初のゲームの第一の番を思い出して、大人たちの死体が魔法陣の描かれた変
When the game is over, which will be never.
覚えてる
？Oh, episode 1, the first Twilight. Kraus, Rudolph, Kiri, Rosa, Shannon, and Boda. All 6 of them had their heads pulverized and died.
あの時あそこには2種類の死体があったわ。それは顔面を粉砕された死体と側面を粉砕された死体の2種類。
そうだ、顔面粉砕はルドルフ、キリエ、ローズ、ゴーダの4人、側頭部粉砕はクラウス、シャノンの2人だった。
Yeah, I remember that.
あの時点では気まぐれに生み出した2種類の死体であった。より残忍な死体である前者の方がわらわにとってむしろ不利であることに気づいたのだ。
Oh, is it because of the whole, yeah, well, it might have been a prop?
ベアトにとって不利。そうか、そういうことか。
That's right. The smashed faces might look atrocious, but that made it hard to confirm the identity of each person. For example, at the time, Uncle Kraus and Shannon-chan had their heads half smashed. That alone was atrocious enough, but because half of their faces remained, it was easy to confirm their identities. But Dad and the other three were different. Because his face had been completely destroyed, even I, as his son, could only guess by inference that it had to be Dad because of his clothes and the like. In short, it remained vague until the end whether that really had been Dad's corpse.
第1のゲームの時にも、もしも推理バトルが行われてたなら、俺は多分親父たちの死体を本人確認不能のため偽装死体の可能性もあると主張していたかもしれない。何しろあのゲームの時にはベアとは一切赤での発言もして。
お上手よ。それでせ、偽装死はミステリーの基本の一つ。たとえ医者に検証させたとしても、犯人とグルを疑われればその結果は信用できない。
That and sometime Nanjo did say he's not what's it called? He's not an expert at an autopsy, so there's that too.
確実な死を保証できない死体は常に魔女サイドを不利にするということ。
あらゆる死体について偽装死を疑い、その後の事件の犯人に想定することができる。バトラの嫌う手だけど、魔女に対する最も初歩的な一手も。
ああ、そうだ。だからベアトは赤を使い出した。赤き真実で完璧な検証を行うようになったんだ。
That's true.
そういうことだ。本来ならばわらわはすぐにでも赤き真実にてこの度の6人の死亡を確定させるところである。しかし知っての通り、今回のわらわの戦法はこれまでとは正反対に赤き真実の兵糧攻めといったところ。そなたが反撃の拠り所にしようとする以上、わらわは容易には赤を使わない。必要最低限の赤にてたった一箇所だけほころびさせればいい。つまりわらわは究極的に言えば、そなたのあらゆる密室の推理についてそのうちの一つをたった一回の赤き真実にて打ち破るだけで良いわけだ。
She's ready for murder. Like logic murder.
散々俺をいたぶってきやがったくせに、俺が反撃に使い出したら今度は引っ込めやがったってわけだ。ふざけやがってよ。
とにかく赤を使いたくない。けちりたい。バトラをいじめてやりたい。しかし赤を使わずに確実なる死を保証するにはどうすればよいの。そのアイデアをガープがくれた。実に簡単な方法だったのだ。
当たり前なことを言ったらリーチがひらめいただけよ。私は誰にでも容易に身元の判別と完全なる死が理解できる死体を用意すればいいと言っただけ。
Yeah, that's smart.
つまりはその2つを合体させたわけよ。この2つを左右ぴったりきれいに合体させたら、あら不思議。この頭部半壊死体がパーフェクトであるという答えが出たわけだ。
There is at least a real life explanation for why they look like that, though.
お前絶対2色パンとか2色アイスが好きだろ。
Yeah, fair.
欲張りな子供市民丸出しだぜ。
いずれにせよ、たとえ頭部が反壊していたとしても、現時点では彼らが死んだとみなすべきではないわ。
Oh, okay.
分かってる。ベアトがもったいぶって赤での宣言を拒む以上、全ては疑ってかかるべきだな。もちろん、シエスタの太もも姉ちゃんたちの魔法殺人だって、鵜呑みになんか絶対しねえぜ。
本当に慎重になったこと。最初のゲームの頃だったなら何でもかんでも鵜呑みにしてくれていたのにね。
Yeah, he would.
公的種はこうでなくては面白くないというものよ。今は赤がないことを幸いに、自由な想像を広げ、好きに推理を重ねるがいい。一番最後、一番美味しいところでバッサリと赤き真実見て叩き切ってくれようぞ。
A good screen. Okay, let me go to the bathroom very quick before I continue. But let me see the screen come in before I go to the bathroom. Oh boy. I'm curious what this will be, but first bathroom. Okay, I'm back. Silent, black, cold, painful. Rosa regained consciousness bit by bit, and the first thing she thought was that it would have been better if she hadn't. After all, with her body still cold and hurting, the pain grew more, her consciousness returned. Did she survive? Felt like she'd been sleeping on ice-cold marble in the darkness, lying face down for a long time. This is why I always tell myself, even if it's just for a nap, I've got to at least grab a sofa. I know that if I naively try to close my eyes for just a second and end up sleeping on the floor or in the sturdy chair, it'll hurt my body later and make things difficult. Since I slept on such a cold and hard floor, even my bones are ice cold. Since I slept on such a hard and cold floor, the half of my face pressed down against it hurts a lot. If I were to look in the mirror right now, I'm sure I'd see an embarrassing mark. I'm probably sure it's more than an embarrassing mark. I didn't think that just rubbing it would make the mark disappear, but I stroked the hurting side on my face anyway, trying to smooth it over, and then probably got a lot of blood. Okay. I wonder where this is. I thought it was pitch black, but it looks like it isn't. After all, I can faintly see my own body. Without a doubt there was some source of light, but even I looked up at the ceiling, or else the sky. There was only an expanse of blackness and I couldn't see a proper light. My body alone was slightly lit, whereas everything else was sunk in darkness. That's what this world was like. It was almost as though Rosa alone had been abandoned in a forgotten world. As her mind grew clearer, she started getting nervous about why she was all alone in a lonely place like this. When she was about to call out, asking if anyone was there, she heard the patter, patter of footsteps coming towards her. They were light footsteps, so she thought it was probably a kid. She didn't sense anything disturbing, so she wasn't afraid. But they also weren't Maria's footsteps, so wondering who in the world would be in the darkness like this, she stared in the direction that the footsteps were coming from. As she did, a faint approaching silhouette came into view. Sakutaro? It looked like a child much younger than Maria. Who is it? I don't know this kid, but the expression on his face was like a lost child separated from his parents. As a parent with a daughter herself, Rosa felt as though her chest had been torn apart. Oh shit! The instant the kid uttered that infantile word, she felt pain in the half of her face that had started hurting from the cold floor, as though it had been pierced by long, thin, hard needles. Well, I guess that was the half of the face that exploded, huh? Without thinking, she pressed her hand against the side of her face. No?
ありがとう、僕。ここはどこ？すごく寒いわ。
こっちへ来て、ここにいちゃいけない。
That child took my other hand and pulled with a grim expression on his face. Rosa didn't have a clue what was going on. However, a single honest expression on a child can often tell the truth better than 100 words from an adult. She didn't know the situation, but even so, she dashed along with him, still being pulled. Is Rosa now, like, in the same plane as Beato and the others? But this was a world where nothing could be seen in the darkness except for their own forms. It didn't really feel like she was moving forwards. Even though she was running, she couldn't even feel any wind. It was as though she was still inside a nightmare, that kind of unreal sensation. So even though she ran, I couldn't maintain my sense of balance, and my legs got tangled and I fell. Even in a world that didn't feel real, the pain of smashing my face against the cold, hard floor was reality itself. Oh!
ごめんなさいね。頭が痛むの。
I mean, when the kid said that infantile word, Ryuryu, pain like being stuck with needles ran through my head again. Even though it had only happened twice, I was somehow able to understand that the child's word was the cause of my pain. So I said so frankly.
ごめんなさい。その、ウリュウという口癖をやめてもらえる？
ウリュウ。
お！
ちょっと、やめてって言ってるでしょ。
ごめんなさい。
Oh, he's trying his best! I had the feeling that this child's apology caused a sharp pain in my forehead this time. What is this child? I know there's no malice in him, but when I'm around this child, my head hurts. I wonder why.
大丈夫？早く行こう。ここは行っちゃダメ。
どうしてここにいちゃダメなの？ねえ、ここはどこ？あなたは誰？あなたのママはどこ？
僕を作ってくれたのは
Oh!
ママだよ。
Uh-oh. The child stared at me with round eyes. This kid's mama is me? Who? Who is this kid? I don't remember at all.
僕のこと忘れちゃった？
Yes.
ママが僕を作ったんだよ。
Oh boy.
ちょっと冗談はやめて。
Is this going to be like her remembering and then this being like the first step to materialize Sakutaro back into Maria's world?
私の子供はマリアだけよ。
But let's see how that goes.
そう。マリアはどこ？マリアはどこなの？マリア！
I suddenly grew nervous about Maria not being there. Why am I all alone in a place like this? Where is Maria? I'm only able to be me because Maria's there for me.
マリアはいるけど、今はマリアじゃない。今は会わない方がいいの。その方がママのためだし、マリアのためなの。マリアのためにも逃げて。
え？何を言ってるの？マリアはどこ？マリア！返事をして！
Well?
マリアに見つかっちゃう。早くこっちに来て、ママ！
That child pulled on my hand again. He was probably pulling me in the opposite direction from Maria, so I stopped walking.
話してよ。だいたいあなたは誰よ？あなたにママなんて言われる覚えはないわよ。
僕を作ってくれたのはママだよ。忘れちゃったの？マリアのバースデープレゼントにするために僕を手作りしてくれたの 忘れちゃったの？
Probably.
あなたマリアの作太郎。
うん、ママに作ってもらったライオンのぬいぐるみだよ。
Good, she remembered. Uh-oh! A fierce sharp pain struck me. It came from the palm he had grabbed with his hand. When I knocked his hand away without thinking and looked at my palm, a hole the size of a thumb had opened there, and deep red blood gushed out. It was a hole so big that I could see through to the other side. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
大丈夫？大丈夫？どうしたの？
Saktaro noticed my wound and panicked. As far as I could tell by looking at him, he couldn't understand why my hand had sustained a serious injury. But in my eyes, it felt like I'd been injured because he grabbed my hand. Regardless of whether there was malice in him, I understood that this child was something that would do harm to me, and he instantly seemed eerie.
あっちへ行って。あなたなんか知らないわ。作太郎は気持ち悪い下手くそなぬいぐるみでしょ。
Oh boy!
私は知らないわよ。ママなんかじゃないわよ。あっちへ行って消えて。
Uh-oh. Come on, he's trying to help you. Slowly, the base of Sakutaro's neck was sliced in a horizontal line. It gaped open and pitch black insides peeked out. No blood poured from it. Only an empty blackness peeked out. Come on! Why you do him like this? He's such a sweet boy. Such a sweet lion baby. Then, from the inside of the gash, cotton snow poured out, and as a bit of cotton scattered, he slumped over. Then all that remained was a crumbed yellow cloth, and bits of cotton that looked like sticky crushed cotton candy. Oh man, what did you do? He's such a good boy! A lion stuffed animal, without a doubt. These were the remains of the Sakutaro stuffed animal I tore apart on that day while overcome by my emotions. The inside I realized that a long sharp shriek that could rupture an eardrum tore the world apart. Hers or? Oh no. Are we back here? Oh. I'm not ready. Oh man. Oh no, I'm not ready. Like a flood from a broken dam or like a broken TV, Mare cried out in a high-pitched voice. Her voice, which made the ears throb, brought up two emotions in me. One was regret. Yeah, I was overcome by my emotions and went overboard. It was a mother's desire to kneel down right away, hold Maria's head, cry with her and apologize. In fact, I did that right away. I held Maria's head and apologized, crying. But Maria didn't stop crying. On the contrary, she rejected me, the one who had torn her closest friend apart, and pushed me away forcefully with both hands. I had been on my knees in an unnatural position, so I fell backwards easily. Maya scraped together the yellow scraps of cloth and cotton bits, buried her face in them and cried even more. Well, watching that, another emotion welled up. It welled up rapidly, and then it burst. After all, she refused to make up with me even though I'd apologized, and there was nothing else I could do now anyway, and it was all Maria's fault in the first place. Oh, come on. Since she's too busy playing with stuffed animals all the time like this, she can't make any friends, and that's why people treat her like a freak. It's a perfect opportunity to give her some instructive guidance. After all, it's not like I was pampered all the time. Everything eventually breaks, is stolen, is destroyed by someone. Even I had lots of toys and treasures stolen, broken, mocked, and thrown away by my brothers and sister and father and mother. Oh man. But when I cried about that, while I might have shed a few tears, not once did I sob like this and trouble my parents, throw a tantrum, get mad, hit the floor and kick and make a racket. Even though I always wanted to, I thought I'd get more in trouble if I did so I always held it back. It's because I held it back that I was able to become the wonderful adult I am now. You, a wonderful adult! Big joke. I'm sorry. At that moment, I felt something strange. The same feeling as when you use a tool recklessly and it finally breaks so that only the base is left. But I wasn't using a tool. I'd just been repeatedly hitting Maria's head with both hands. Oh no. So I looked at my hands. From my wrists onwards, my hands had broken off, splintered and disappeared. As though only that part of my arms had become ceramic. Uh-oh! No, as though all of me from the wrists onwards had suddenly become ceramic and had broken and fallen. They must have gotten filled with cracks because I hit Maria too much before falling off. That's such a real thought process though. Yeah, it is. It still sucks though. After all, look. Aren't both of my wrists lying smashed by my feet? Uh-oh. There was no pain, but the shocking sight of my hands breaking off from the wrists onwards made me scream. Uh-oh. Oh boy. Well, Rosa, well, can't say this isn't kinda deserved. I mean, more like it's karma. Ignoring my confusion, Maria spoke with an icy voice, slowly moving her hands away from her head where they had been defending against my barrage. We call that the consequence of your own actions. Behind Maria's back, a black silhouette had appeared. It was the silhouette of an adult. Who? Oh, it's Beato. Oh boy, shit's not looking good for Rosa right now.
ママはマリアの頭を撫でるより叩く方が多いよ。絵本なんかめくってくれない。ご飯だって作ってくれない。
Oh, that's true
マ
too.
リアが自分で買いに行くの。でも同じお店に何度も行っちゃいけないし、顔を覚えられてもいけない。おまわりさんに話しかけてもいけない。なんで？どうして？マリアが悪いの？マリアはママに撫でてもらったり。絵本を読んでもらったり一緒にご飯を食べたりしちゃいけないの？
I guess.
どうしてマリア悪くないよ。マリア悪くない。ママが悪い。ママが悪い。
Oh boy, she's hitting back. Oh boy.
ママは一緒に遊んでくれないけどサク太郎は一緒に遊んでくれた。本も読んでくれた。テレビも見てくれた。一緒にご飯も食べてくれた。ママよりもっともっと大切な友達だったのに。
悪かったと思ってるわ。でも仕方ないでしょ。ママは仕事で忙しいのよ。仕事でママの仕事が忙しいのは知ってるでしょ。
I mean,
仕方ないのよ。
what about the vacation?
仕方ない。
そうだ、これは仕方なき。そなたの娘が傷つき心を引き裂かれ涙に血を浮かべることさえこれは仕方なき。なれば今この場にてこのようなることになるもまた全ては仕方なきこと。さあマリ、母を名乗った女の言い分は以上だぞ。許せるか否か。無罪かはたまた有罪か。
Oh boy, with the rage she has right now, she's going to say guilty.
許せない。ママは有罪だ。サク太郎にママがしたのと同じ目に合わせてやる。
Oh!
ママを首の縫い目のところから引き裂いて中の綿をぶちまけてやる。
Oh my god. Maria's eyes ominously flashed blue. In that instant, invisible massive arms stuck their fingernails out and tightly grasped Rosa's entire body. As the bones all over her body made the sound like twigs being stepped on, they cracked readily and broke apart. Rosa had understood vaguely. The massive arms were probably her own arms from the time she'd torn Sakutaro apart. From a stuffed animal's perspective, her arms certainly would have been this massive. Uh-oh! So she could imagine what would happen next. Oh boy! The sharp nails stuck deep into the base of her neck, and she heard the skin tearing with her own ears. Ooh. And then, as the two witches watched over her, Rosa's flesh was split into top and bottom. When Saktaro had been torn apart, bits of cotton had flown about like snowflakes. But in Rosa's case, something like black, thick tar came out, filthily flying all over the place. There wasn't even a trace of the red blood. It was something black, filthy and thick. It was probably what a bloodless, tearless human kept inside their body. Oh man. Oh boy. Oh boy.
なんと汚らわしき中身。見事であったぞ、マリ。さあどうか。そなたの復讐はこれにて十分。
The music is still going.
そなたは母を許せる。無罪。有罪。
I'm sorry, if Mirage Coordinator is playing in this scene, I doubt it will end here.
許せない。
Uh-oh.
まだまだ許せない。有罪だ。
Oh boy! When Beatrice brandished her pipe cane, gold butterflies seeped up and restored Rosa's broken flash in an instant. Woof! Oh man. Well... Oh boy, Rosa. Yeah, as I said, consequences of her own actions.
自らの深き罪を思い出す。さあさあ思い出してごらんなさい。そなたがどれほどの罪を犯した。
See, Rosa, what happens when you are a good mama?
もしもし、ママなの？
Which she isn't yet.
ママは何時に帰ってくるの？ごめんな
さいね。今日も仕事が忙しくて泊まりになってしまう。
またお仕事でお泊まり？ママのお仕事、今日も大変だね。
ごめんね、本当に忙しいの。もうずっと会社に缶詰よ。外の空気も吸えやすい。ママの仕事は早く終わらすだけじゃダメなの。
Oh, this is the time she went on vacation, huh?
デザインを上げないと次から仕事をもらえない大変な仕事なのよ。だからどうしても時間がかかっちゃうの。
うん、わかってるよ。マリア、いい子でお留守番してるからお仕事いっぱい頑張って早く終わらせてお家に帰ってきてね。
ママのお仕事を分かってくれて明日美味しいケーキを買って帰ることを約束するわ。
ケーキいらないよ。ケーキ屋さんによって遅くなるよりその分ちょっとでも早くママが帰ってくる方が嬉しい。
大丈夫よ。早く帰ってくるわ。約束する。
Oh man.
だから美味しいケーキを2人で食べて
A lot of lies. Which you never did, apparently, according to Maria. Okay, the Mosenshi puzzles is something that she knows, so.
うん、約束。待ってるね。お仕事頑張ってね、ママ。
ほうほう、寂しい話ではあるが。互いを思い合う良き親子愛ではないか。何か問題があるというのか、マリ。そしてローザ。
その約束は私はちゃんと守ったはずよ。
Well, at least with the movies you
次の
didn't.
日の夕方に約束通りケーキを買っていつもより早い帰宅をしたはずよ。
マリアは知ってたよ。あの日の夕方ね。
That you were lying to me?
ママ宛てに着払いの荷物が来たけど、お財布の中のお金が足りなかったからママにどうしようって相談したくて会社に電話したの。特別な時以外はかけちゃダメって言われてたけど、ママのお仕事の大切なものだったら悪いしと思って電話したの。
Oh?
そしたらママはお休みだって言われた。
Has Ronove, good evening, Yupi. Hi, Kumamaru, how you doing? Has Ronove come to save us yet? He has come earlier with a new guest, but now we're about to see Mari go batshit on Rosa, I guess.
その日はずっと前からお休みに決まってて、
Releasing all that pent up
遠くへ遊びに行
anger.
っているって言われたの。マリアは知ってたよ。ママが嘘をついてるって。ずっと知ってた。 でもね、作太郎がそうじゃないってマリアを叱ってくれたの。ママは毎日お仕事でとても大変。マリアを放っておいて遊んでるはずなんてない。ママはお休みって言った人はきっと何か勘違いして言ってしまったんだよって。
Oh boy。
作太郎がそう言うんだもん。マリアは信じたよ。マリアは信じた。ママ大好き、ママ大好き。もちろんママだってマリアを愛してる、愛してるって。
But
ええ、私もよ。愛してるわ、マリア。
do you? I mean, probably she does, but she doesn't look like she wants to say that right now. Rosa let out a deep sigh. Maybe she felt the weight of her words. Then she set the receiver on the bedside, phone down. The dark room made the starry sky on the ground below the window stand out even more beautifully. On the table in front of the terrace was a very cold wine cooler, and the one she shared the glass with was gazing at the scene below.
娘さんに旅行って話してないんですか？
行くって言って前にうるさかったんで、以来言わないことにしてるんです。その方が面倒がなくていいんで。
Oh boy。
娘さんが気になるなら無理に日程を組まなくてもよかったじゃありませんか。
でもそれじゃいつまで経っても予定が合わないし、それは気にしないでって言ったでしょ。
The slender middle-aged man clad in a white robe gave a small sigh. Rosa reacted instantly to that slight action.
娘の話はなしにして。せっかくの上等なワインが台無しよ。
私はあなたに一人の人間としても
But
女性ですが、だからこそこうして時間を割くのは申し訳ないと感じています。
私と娘の事情は気にしないでくださいって、あなたと二人きりの時に娘の話はしないようにしているでしょ。
Oh man, you're making him feel worse, I
電
think.
話だって下のロビーでうるさい酔っ払いがバカ笑いしてなければここではかけなかった。
ローザさん、こういう唐突な日程での旅行は娘さんのためにも今後は少し考えませんか？
At least he's been
互いの
considerate.
日程があった時だけでいいじゃありませんか。
それじゃ全然日程が合わないじゃないですか。私はいつだって一緒にいたいのに。
Oh no, oh man.
子供の恋愛の仕方です。大人同士の恋愛はもう少しストイックであるべきですよ。ローザさんと一緒にいられる時間が長く取れないことは僕も寂しいです。ですがその限られた時間と機会で僕たちは十分に大人の恋愛を楽しめていると思いますよ。
それはもっと娘と一緒にいろと、女でなく母でいろということですか？
あなただって望んでいることでしょう。
I mean,
娘さんと一緒にゆっくり過ごしたいとあなただって思っているはずだ。僕は逃げません。僕との時間を優先するために娘さんを犠牲にするのは気の毒だと申し上げたいのです。
that's a decent man to be aged.
奥さんとのより戻したんですか？別れるのが嫌になったんですね。
妻の話はしたくない。あなたが娘さんの話をしたくないのと。
Okay, now he suddenly spins the
連れ
the
の
plate.
女は面倒だって思ったんでしょう。
そんなこと今までに一度も言ったことはありませんよ。
みんな子連れだと分かると手のひらを返す。あの子の養育費は気にしなくていいからと言ってもみんな手のひらを返す。あなたは娘のことを理解してくれてると思った。やっぱり子連れだと嫌なんですね。
I mean, that's not what he said, but I understand where she's coming
そう
from.
は言っていません。ローザさんのことを嫌いになってなどいませんよ。私が言いたいのは娘さんをもっと大事にしなさい。
Our daughter.
あなた自身もそれを望んでいるはずだ。そう言ってるだけなんです。
嘘つき。私のことが面倒になっただけ。
そんなことは言っていない。
Oh man.
いいえ、わかるの。私にはわかるわ。
Is she going to break up with him on the
あの
spot?
子を理由に何度も捨てられた私だからわかるの。雰囲気でわかるわ。そうよ。あなたもそう。他の男たちと一緒。子連れの女は嫌なのよ。バツイチは嫌なのよ。面倒なのよ。知らない男と作った子供の親になんかなりたくないんでしょ。ええ、そうよね。その気持ちすっごいわかるわ。子連れの男と付き合ったことがあるけど、その気持ちすっごいわかったの。
Well, I wonder if Kiria kind of feels the same, but in a different way.
そうよ、あんたなんて邪魔だったのよ。
Oh no.
あんたさえいなければ私はとっくに女としての幸せをつかめたのよ。あんたの存在が私の幸せをいつも邪魔するのよ。
Oh boy.
私だってあんたなんか産みたくなかったわよ。
Oh no.
いいえ違うわ。
Oh
あ
no.
んたと一緒に幸せな家庭を築けたらと思ったわよ。でもあんたが生まれる直前にあいつは蒸発したわ。私と温かい家庭を築くと言って私を騙し永遠に私の前から消え去ったわ。
Oh no.
残ったのはあんただけ。
Oh no, she's blaming Maria for everything. That's not
愛
fair.
も思い出も何もない。あの男は今どこへ。私との日々を温かな思い出に勝手に変えて新しい恋人に出会ったかもしれない。
Man, that I get that sucks, but it's not her fault.
そして私はあんたがいる。恋も探せない。男は好きに女を渡り歩いて武勇伝気取りなのに女には私にはあんたがいる。あんたという重しがいるのよ。あんたのせいで私は恋を探せない。愛が得られない。一人で生きていくしかない。
Oh boy. That's not her fault though. That's society's
それさえも
fault.
許されてないわ。私には一人で酔いつぶれたい夜さえ許されていない。あんたは誰？何者？私の人生を台無しにして私の新しい人生さえ許してくれないあんたは私の人生の何者なのよ。
I guess mask's off now.
死ね！消えろ！あんたなんか生まれてきた時から大嫌い。
Fuck.
あんたがお腹の中にいた頃から大嫌いだった。それを前向きに受け入れようと頑張って良き母を演じてきたわ。
Well, this is.
私は頑張った。同世代の女性たちが独身を謳歌し時に恋に遊びあるいは愛に結ばれるのを横目に見ながら私は女と母の二足のわらじを吐き続けたわ。その私の苦労を誰がねぎらったの？誰も褒めない称えない。自業自得子持ちは嫌。負け組の遠吠えうぶな小娘がいい。
Rosa dialed it up to 11 and broke off the knob. Yeah, she did. Oh boy.
こっちから願い下げよう。ケツの青い若造どもが。必死だった私はさぞかし簡単に落ちる女に見えたろうさ。必死だったわよ。まだまだ恋をしたい年頃の私が日々を仕事と育児で忙殺されていきどれほど必死だったか想像もつかないでしょうよ。あんたの本当の父親ももちても破局を迎えた責任は私と彼に半々だわ。
No, that's not Maria's fault.
私にも逃げられるだけのしつこさがあったのかもしれない。でもその後の破局は全部あんたのせい。私はあんたにそれをなじったことはあった。
Well, you let out her anger for a lot of things. It doesn't even have to be because of this topic.
ないでしょ。男に逃げられて酔いつぶれたいその次の日があんたの授業参観。泣き晴らした目を厚化粧でごまかしてあんたが的外れな発言をしてクラス中から失笑されてた時のあんたどころか世界中の誰にもわからないでしょうよ。あんたが嫌い大嫌い。
Oh, this is very difficult to read.
これまでにあんたを本当に愛したことなんてただの一度もない。
Oh my god. Yeah, well, I don't care what anyone says after this point. Even if Rosa were to become a better mother after this whole rant would be stick to Maria for the rest of her life. That's like a permanent wedge. Like, even if Maria decided to forgive her and she became better, that shit sticks to you forever. Maria's face was still stiff. If the words really had been blades, Maria's whole body would probably be stained red with fresh blood by now. Even after gaining the power of a witch and resolving herself to take revenge for Sakutaro, she couldn't stand these curses coming out of her mother's mouth. Oh, I feel so bad for Maria. I think anyone with standards would have a horrible time watching this. Oh boy. I want to hug her. And you're laughing! No, stop. Stop right now.
あんたが生まれる前にそうすればよかった。あんたなんか生まなければよかった。消えてしまえ。
Jesus. Welp. As Rosa howled in a way that could only be described by the word splat, her upper body was crushed, and in an instant became something similar to a brown blood-stained towel. Oh boy. Even though Rosa's waist and below was standing normally, just the upper half of her body had been pinched, and that extreme contrast was bizarre. Then she fell over, but the instant she fell, her body was restored. Oh boy, you're gonna feel eternal hell. You're just making it worse, ma'am. Well, revenge time. Maria's howl was adorned with the ugly sound of flesh and bone being crushed at the same time. As Rosa, who had foully insulted Maria, lay spread-eagled, a neat perfect circle was cut out of her chest and crushed as though her chest had been trampled by an invincible elephant. Her heart and her lungs and her ribs were trampled so mercilessly that they were completely indistinguishable. Might have symbolized the pain in Maria's heart up until today. I don't think so. I mean, after what she just said? Oh boy. And she's back. When Beato waved her cane, her body was restored again, and Rosa sat up, coughing violently in apparent pain. And once again she spat out curses rejecting Maria.
お前はママなんかじゃない。魔女だ。マリアとママを苦しめる魔女だ。
Oh no.
ママの姿をしているからって許さない。
Oh no, are you falling back to that?
許さない。
Oh no.
魔女はあんたでしょ。気持ち悪い本ばかりに魔女ごっこにかぶれて消えるのはあんたの方よ。あんたのせいで私まで変わり者扱い。あんたのせいで。あんたのせいで。
It's more your own fault, ma'am.
なければよかった。お前なんか生まれてくるな。生まれてくる前から大嫌いだったのよ。
Maria screamed. Was she unable to bear her anger and sadness? Of course not! Or else had she been taken over by an indescribable emotion? It was surely a cry of hopelessness. And yet it was a reality that had to be accepted. Maria knew. She knew that she was thought of as a burden. But even though she herself had known that, she didn't believe it. She believed that her mother loved her and had done her best to positively interpret several events that would have made her doubt this, trusting and clinging to her mother's love. But she had no one except Mama. Even so, she really did like Mama and wanted to return to the days when she believed that Mama loved her. Oh God. So I howled. I'll release all of it. I won't accept it. I'll deny it. I'll deny the mother who says these things, the black witch who makes her say them, and the part of myself that can forgive my mother. But I can't deny it. This is reality, fact, the truth, the answer. Without any mistake, this is absolute reality. Maria turned Rosa into a lump of meat over and over in the dark world that reflected her heart, rang the ugly sound of flesh and bone being torn apart, which would make anyone want to cover their ears. Each time Beatrice revived Rosa, she dragged her back into the world of endless torture, which could not be escaped from even by death. This was the true, deepest hell that the endless witch Beatrice could create. However, this world was not made endless by Beatrice's will, because every time Rosa turned into a lump of meat, she asked the same question to Maria. No.
許せるものか、許せるものか、許さない、許さない。マリアの苦しみのすべてを教えてやる。
Man, I am in pain.
もっともっと教えてやる。まだまだ足りない、全然足りない。生まれた時から、生まれる前から蔑まれてきたこの怒りと悲しみがどうしても消せないの。
Man. Man, Rosa, you're a ghoul. Like, just ghoulish. Revive over and over again. Return to a meat lump over and over again. In various ways she crushed, smashed, beat, and tore to bits. Flying blood splattered the flesh, turned the once pitch black world into a world with mixed red and black. Maria's anger still hadn't calmed down. It was as though she was spitting out all the suppressed rage from the time of her birth until today. If that all became poison to her heart, then would the repeated murder of her mother purify her soul? Would even this wasteful murder save her soul at least a little bit? This endless torture might have become a slight diversion from her sad, unrewarded life. After all, it seemed that she'd finally been able to regain her smile.
私の痛みがこの程度ではないこと。どうしたの？もう笑わないの？笑ってみせろよ。
Poor child indeed. Half of her skull collapsed. Eyeballs flew out and black cranial fluids gushed. Fragments of teeth scattered.
よみがえりなよ。笑ってみせなよ。ほら、ほら。
Her whole chest along with her ribs turned inside out, exposing her filthy innards. All of them writhing like some kind of impure creature. Oh my god. Rosa couldn't laugh anymore, but her face was laughing. It was filled with a twisted laugh and covered with a malice that rejected her unwanted daughter. I raised that laughing voice. Next I'll raise that laughing face. I'll raise it, I'll crush it, I'll tear it to bits. Rosa didn't deserve it? No, she did. She kind of did. I mean, okay, maybe she doesn't deserve being tortured over and over, but I don't know. Rosa's kind of acting ghoulish instead of like, I don't know, reflecting. Oh yes, Maria, I did it and I love every moment of it. Oh boy. I'm getting Eva 3's vibes from this.
今の感情は怒りでも悲しみでも苦しみでもないはず。
うん、そうだね。わかるよ、ベアトリーチェ。私は今すっごく楽しいよ。ママと遊んでるんだもん。すっごく楽しい。そしてママを何度も何度も殺してるのに、魔法一つで好きなだけ生き返らせられる。
Yep, that's very Eva 3's vibes right there.
壊したら直せないから大事にした。でも治るおもちゃなら何度でも壊したい。
Oh?
でも作太郎は治らないんだね。治せないんだね。作ったママが、産んだママが認めないから。
Oh boy.
私もママに認められてないんだね。だから壊れたマリアももう治らないんだね。
Well, congrats, Rosa. Thank you. A lot of therapy might be needed now. Oh, it just started back up?
楽しいな。楽しいよママ。こんなにも楽しくなったらなぜかママが許せる気がしてきたの。ねえベアト、これはとっても不思議な感情。どうしてマリアはママを許せる気持ちになってきたの？
それは生き死にを自由にできる力を得た魔女のみがたどり着く。いつでも殺せ、必要なら蘇らせ、面倒ならまた殺せばいい。それをいつでも指一本鳴らすだけでできることを知ったなら、人の世のざれ言などそのすべては聞き流すに等しい虫の声いいかよ。
Uh-oh.
そなたに母を許そうという感情が芽生えた。そなたが母の愛に目覚めたからではない。そなたが今こそ真の魔女の世界の入り口に立ったからだ。ようこそマリア。深遠なる、そして甘美なる魔女の世界へ。
I mean, killing people, I guess, sure is fun.
なったんだ。マリアはもうマリアじゃない。まだ見習いかもしれないけれど、人間の世界を超えた。私はもう原初の魔女見習いマリアなんだ。もう私は何も悔しくない、悲しくない。ママ、許してあげるよ。きっと私はママを許せる。もうちょっとしたら許せると思うの。だって魔女だから。
Oh boy. Whoa, man. Well, have fun, Rosa. Jesus, that's a lot of hee-hees and death. This is very not hee-hee. Maria will probably forgive her mother eventually, after brutally murdering her countless times, graciously. Do you think she forgives her? I mean, given that she eventually like shakes does the whole pinky thing in the same episode. Let's see. Wow.
でけえな。今の落雷は近いんじゃねえか。
みたいだね。いくつになっても落雷にはビクッとさせられるね。
Beato was looking at the dark night through a crack in the curtains. Every once in a while, a pale white lightning bolt would shine, and he seemed to be enjoying it. Oh, Maria.
お？なんだよ。バトラが騒がしくしてるからマリアが起きちゃったじゃねえか。ごめんな、マリア。
She was dreaming about beating up her mom.
バトラが騒がしくて。
なんだよ、俺のせいかよ。悪いな、マリア。寝てていいぞ。おやすみな。
Maria was a bit hazy with drowsy eyes. She was probably half asleep and couldn't think straight.
もういい。寝ない。
いいから寝てろって。まだ寝ぼけてるぜ。
寝ぼけてない。
なんだよ。もろに寝ぼけてるじゃねえか。
Let her stay awake.
寝てろ寝てろ。
寝ぼけてない。寝ぼけてない。
よせってバカバトラ。もう寝起きのこの機嫌を悪くするなんてバカだな。
She is right.
寝ぼけてない。寝ぼけてないもん。
Thanks, Battler.
わかってるよ、マリアちゃん。寝ぼけてなんかないよ。だから落ち着いて。
Can George just adopt her?
寝ぼけてないもん。寝ぼけてないもん。
Maybe it was because of her delicate mental state after waking up, but Maria suddenly threw a tantrum. Beato had only been trying to tease her a bit, so he was confused by this extreme overreaction. Oh boy. George held her head, trying to calm her down, but Maria's tantrum wasn't going to be quelled easily. Beato and Jessica were trying to push the blame on each other, saying it's your fault. It's your fault too.
こら、二人とも静かにして。ジェシカちゃん、ポットにまだお湯があったよね。お茶でも入れてあげてくれる？落ち着いた？マリアちゃん。
She's still pissed. It looked like her tantrum was dying down bit by bit, but she still glared at Beato, who made fun of her with sharp eyes.
バトラ君もふざけて言っただけなんだよ。マリアちゃんが寝ぼけてるなんて思ってないよ。だから落ち着いて。ね。
She's still mad! George noticed. Maria was staring at Beato with incredible eyes. And despite having just displayed all that emotion, she laughed in a small voice. Instead of a laugh, it seemed more like she was muttering while thinking about, or else counting each he. As though each time she said he, something brutal would happen over and over. Oh no, is this like her way of revenge fantasy? Oh no. Whenever she okay, well, better have fun in Maria's mental space, getting tortured over and over. George felt something creepy for just an instant, but he couldn't spot the madness that peeked out from the depths of the girl's eyes for just a moment. After a short period of stunned silence on George's part, Maria stopped her bizarre, quiet laugh and pushed George's arm aside as though telling him to let her go. Oh boy, I think I got an understanding of Maria's mental processes, and oh boy, I think she does a lot of revenge fantasy.
マリアちゃんは偉いな。バトラ君、マリアちゃんが許してくれたよ。仲直りして。
悪いな、からかって。許してくれ。
ほら、マリア、仲直りの印にカフェオレ作ってやったぜ。砂糖いっぱい入ってるから甘いぜ。
いらない。でも許すよ。魔女だからね。
Oh boy. Did she just think about killing all of them? One more time, Maria laughed in a creepy, quiet voice, but it was only for a very short time, so Beato and Jessica didn't think much of it. They decided to think that it had probably only looked that way when the lightning hit her cheek with a pale white light for an instant. At that time, they could hear the sound of loud footsteps coming from the hall. It was already about 10:30 late at night. Late at night is usually a time when you aren't supposed to be disturbed. Hearing footsteps like that, this time was far from calming. Then, along with a clearly ominous knock that repeated fiercely, they could hear Goda and Kumasawa's voices. That clearly told them that this wasn't a normal situation.
いらっしゃいますか。ゴーダでございます。
熊沢でございますよ。ご無事でございますか。どうしたものやら、どうしたものやら。
When George opened the door, the two of them tumbled in, sopping wet. It looked like they had dashed here from the mansion without an umbrella.
どうしたんだよ、二人とも。
Listen, kids, don't panic. Murder.
何があったんだ。
それが親方様が旦那様が。
Oh? Oh, did we get an eye catch here? Let me check the time. It's like 10:15, but I wonder if I'll read another scene. Let's see. I'll try to read in a little bit, and then if I figure out that the scene takes too long, I might not. It was a pitch black room. There were no windows, and with the weak light bulb, one could just barely make out the state of things around them. It appeared to be an old, forgotten underground storage room with some kind of dusty furniture haphazardly thrown into it. Oh shit, we're in prison. However, even with just a little light, one could at least make out it probably wasn't a storage room. After all, that room was sealed off with iron bars. Oh, Kiria, hi!
わからん。ここは屋敷の地下なのか。食堂の真下にこんな部屋があったのか。
They had dropped into what had appeared to be a pit, falling into this room. Therefore, it was natural to assume that this room was directly under the dining hall. However, not even Kraus could bring himself to believe that there were pitfalls rigged in this beloved dining hall where he had enjoyed his meals for years, and that this dungeon-like room lay directly beneath it. Oh, is this maybe close to where the gold is? But the ceiling above was of crude stone craftsmanship, and they couldn't understand how they could have fallen from somewhere up there. No, all 5 people who had been dropped here thought the same thing. Though they'd had the sensation of falling into a pit, there was no way there could be a pitfalls in the dining hall, nor could this dungeon-like place be directly under it. But the truth was that they actually had fallen into this place and were locked in. So they were confused.
あの高さから落ちて誰も怪我をしなかったのは幸運かもしれませんな。
Very much agreed.
シャノン、カノン、君たちはこんな部屋の存在は知っていたかね。
いいえ、僕たちもこのような部屋のことは存じかねます。
Okay.
本当に？
本当です。
Prison? Yeah, I'm also wondering the same.
本当にこの部屋知りません。
Despite their age, Kiryep apparently wouldn't have found it odd if they, as servants allowed to wear the one-winged eagle, might know the mansion's secret tricks. There was a long silence as if Kraus was evaluating their answer.
いや、シャノンたちが知らないのは事実だろう。何しろ、綺麗好きのシャノンだ。
I think episode 3 had Kraus survive for a while. But we never really had much focus on him, so I wonder how Kraus and Kiria will handle this.
彼女がこの部屋を知っていたなら、もっとピカピカに磨き上げているだろう。今はそんなことより、これからどうするかの方が先決だと思わんかね。
その通りです。警察に、いえ、それから救急にも早く電話をし。
What do you mean first aid? They're probably dead. Nancho's words were hollow. Obviously. 6 people had been killed in the dining hall. Everybody had seen the exact moment when they'd been killed, and since half of their heads had been destroyed, anyone could tell that the deaths had been instant with just a single glance. Everyone understood that first aid no longer held any meaning.
ありがとう、南條先生。私たちは伴侶がもう生きてはいないことを理解できてる。気休めでも救急と言い添えてくれてありがとう。
まずい。
Oh boy, he's not okay. Once again, a gloomy silence dominated the atmosphere, but Kraus shook his head harshly over and over for the first time being, decided to forget the pain of losing his wife and to dedicate himself to figuring out where they were.
みんな聞きたまえ。親父はもうダメだ。口で言って理解や説明が求められる段階にもうない。
Nobody answered. Without any kind of discussion or mercy, 6 people had been killed in an instant, and Kinzo had been so bold as to proclaim that we'd become sacrifices for a ceremony involving 13 murders. Since we've been locked up in this place, we too will probably become the ceremony's next sacrifices soon. Around this time, our eyes became so used to the darkness, and bit by bit we were able to understand more about the dungeon's interior. What we thought was furniture haphazardly left in the dungeon turned out to be not furniture at all. They were things like small cages to lock people in, restraints, or else torture racks. At any rate, it was obvious that it was eerier than a mere jail cell. Since the objects were rusted together and coated in thick dust, there was no doubt that they had been forgotten. Maybe you could even call these things Kinzo's sealed and forgotten madness. However, we had been locked away in this room. Those objects weren't exactly comforting to people who were locked up, hoping to be released without harm.
とにかくここを抜け出そう。
Yeah, well, how?
私たちは伴侶や友人を失い、涙を流すことに時間を費やしたいが、今はそれ以上に子供たちの身が心配だ。
お子様方はご無事でしょうか。
祈るしかない。そういえば熊沢さんと郷田さんはここにはいないな。
ひょっとすると無事に逃げ延びられたのかも。
Yeah, thankfully, I guess.
かもしれませんな。子供たちと合流しててくれれば心強いのですが。
郷田さんはいざという時頼りになるし、熊沢さんは経験豊富で落ち着いてるし、きっと力になってくれると思います。
そうだといいがな。
Shannon and Kraus smiled bitterly a little, but they quickly realized how improper that was and stopped clearing their throats.
楽観はできないよ、姉さん。僕らに続いてもう襲われてしまってる可能性だってある。
同感ね。お父様が食堂で執行したのは魔女の碑文の第1の番の6人殺しなんでしょ。なら第2の番は寄り添いし2人を引き裂け。
Oh no, poison. Yes, a poison dungeon.
逃げ隠れて寄り添っている郷田さんと熊沢さんがもう殺されている可能性だって否定できないわ。
I mean, were Goda and Kumasawa
きっと
close?
ゲストハウスに合流してて子供たちを守ってくれているなんて楽観。現時点では全くできないわよ。
Hiri coldly analyzed the worst-case scenario. For her, it was heartbreaking to have lost her beloved husband. But right now, the important thing was protecting that husband's son, along with the other children, from becoming the insane family head sacrifice. She overcame her sadness with the parental urge to protect children from sorrow. It seemed that both Kitty and Kraus were strong enough to forget about their grief, if only for the time being. They would let their tears flow later. Oh, I could imagine Kitty manifesting her envy and love for Rudolph. And just going absolutely bonkers on Kinzo. I would like to see that, actually.
とにかくここを脱出しよう。相当古い牢屋のようだ。なんとか鉄格子を破れないだろうか。室内をくまなく探して脱出手段を探してみよう。
ここにはガラクタがいろいろあるわ。何か役に立ちそうな道具とか落ちてないかしら。武器になるものがあるかもしれないし、
鉄格子を破れるものがあるかもしれない。
Kiria pulled a lighter from her pocket. She herself didn't smoke, but she kept one tucked away in her pocket to light Rudolph's cigarettes. It was an extremely valuable source of light for searching in this dim dungeon.
シャノンはキリエさんを手伝い、カノンは私と一緒に鉄格子の具合を確かこれだけ古い牢屋だ。ひょっとするとガタが来ているかもしれない。
私は何をお手伝いしましょうか。
I don't know.
体力を温存していてください。やがてここに親父殿が現れるだろう。親父殿に言葉が届くのは南條先生だけです。ある意味南條先生に我々の命は握られているかもしれない。
No pressure.
私の言葉などもう届きはせんでしょう。申し訳ないがそのお役には立てそうにない。
なら南條先生のお医者としての知識を貸してください。人間を即座に混沌させるような毒って存在するのかしら。
人間を即座に混沌させる毒？
What's it called, that gas?
どういうことですか？
私たちは落とし穴に落とされてこの地下牢に落ちてきたと信じている。
What's it called? The same thing that was used in the first Zero Escape
私たち
game.
はそうだったろうと信じた。
Sophorophyll, something like that.
でもこの地下牢の広さを測ってみて分かった。この地下牢があの食堂の地下というのはありえないことだね。
Chloroform, yeah.
どうしてありえないってわかるんですか？
姉さんはバカだな。この地下牢は食堂に比べて狭すぎる。
Yeah, well.
その通り。1番目に落とされたのはクラウス兄さん。2番目が私。クラウス兄さんはこの部屋に落ちてきた時、その場を動いたかしら。
お恥ずかしながら落下の痛みでうめいていたよ。そのすぐ傍らにキリエさんがすぐに落ちてきたんだ。
So they were probably unconscious.
食堂でのクラウス兄さんと私の立ち位置と落下時の落下場所の距離が明らかにおかしいのよ。
確かに言われてみればその通りです。
Man, Kitty already with her big brain.
その次に落ちたのは私だからお二人の位置関係はよく覚えている。
I almost feel like if Kitty is left alive, there's like a much better chance to survive. Even though it didn't work in episode 3, but...
私たちは落とし穴に落ちてダイレクトにここに
But
落下
she
したわ。
did kinda pivot what happened in episode 3 a little bit, right? She's the one who insisted on the epitaph
集合する下水道管みたいに
and gave the Eva the idea for it, right?
ここに落ちたわけじゃない。落下は一瞬だったでしょ。そんな凝った排水管みたいな穴を転が
It's
さ
been
れ
a
た
while
覚え
since
は
I
ないわ。
managed to catch your stream. I hope you are having fun in episode 4 so far. Oh, hi Umineko, how you doing? I'm having fun with episode 4 so far. I mean, a lot of pain too. I'm in a lot of pain as well. Everything about Mari and Rose is killing me.
落とし穴では説明が
But otherwise, I'm having a good time.
おかしな話だ。
それとキリエ様の
Like this episode is split right down in the middle in heart-shattering, agonizing pain and entertainment.
キリエ様は多分食堂に落とし穴なんかなかったとお考えなんじゃないかな。
しかし現に私たちは落ちたぞ。
I think it might be killing them too. Oh no.
落とし穴に落ちたような気がするが無理もないわ。そうとしか例えられない体験だったから。
なるほど。つまりこうおっしゃいたいわけですな。私たちは落とし穴に落とされたのではなく、例えば毒矢のようなもので撃たれ瞬時に意識を失い、その
That's a pretty good summary of episode 4, TBH. Yeah, I've been told by friends that, oh man, be careful when you get to episode 4, it's going to be a lot of pain, so I came in sealed and I was not prepared.
まるで落とし穴に落ちたよと思い込んでしまっているのかもしれないと。
なるほど。食堂に無数の落とし穴が仕掛けられていて、我々がそれに何十年も気づかず食事をしていたとするよりは。
姉さん、時計はある？
うん。懐中時計があるわよ。 22時40分くらいね。
僕の時計もそうなってる。つまり僕たちは食堂での大騒ぎから十数分も時間を経過させてないってことになる。
私の時計も同様だ。我々が混沌させられてどこかへ担ぎ込まれたと仮定するには、時間だけを見るなら、やはり我々は食堂の真下へ落とし穴で落とされたと。
時計の針なんていくらでもいじれるわ。私たちが気絶している間に全員の時計を巻き戻したのかもしれない。その可能性がなかったことは証明不能よ。
落とし穴にせよ、混沌させる毒にせよ、私たちは用心するに越したことはないというわけですな。
Oh, sorry. I was yawning.
混沌させる毒は存在するんですか？
それはキリエさんの論法と同じですな。私の知らない未知の毒物にそういう紅葉のものがないとは証明できません。
I mean, there are some. The question is, did they have the technology for it at the time in the 80s?
用心に越したことはないと。ごめんなさい。無駄な質問だったわ。ただ、私の仮説により、この地下牢が食堂の真下とは限らないという可能性は示唆できたと思う。
なるほど。広大な森の中のどこかに隠されていると噂される親父殿の隠し屋敷の地下牢に運び込まれている可能性もある。ここを脱出して外へ出ればそれもわかる。それを詮索するのはここから出てからでもいいだろうな。
その通りね。本当にごめんなさい。さっきから無駄な質問と詮索ばかりだわ。
I think they were pretty useful things in the long run.
とても頼もしいよ。今後も何かに気づいたら教えてくれたまえ。ここを脱出する何かのヒントになるかもしれない。ルドルフからいつも聞かされていたよ。君がここにいてくれたのは不幸中の幸いだ。
ありがとう。私もルドルフさんに聞いてるわ。
Oh man.
クラウス兄さんは普段は威張っているけれど、いざという時は責任感にあふれる頼りがいのある兄だって。
さすがにそれは世辞が過ぎる。
He's probably like, yeah, well, that's probably one of the nice things he said in like the 300 shit talking he did.
くそ。それにしても頑丈な鉄格子だ。カノンの方はどうかね。
いいえ、こちらも全く。
Klaus and Canon tried wiggling the bars in various ways. There were a few bars that could be twisted, and a few had enough space to rattle a little bit around in, but they couldn't be broken with human strength alone. However, there was still hope if they could use some kind of lever-like tool. It was still far too early to give up yet. The children's lives were hanging in the balance. Even if there was no hope, they couldn't stop their struggle. And it was better for them to act this way. If they were to stop, there's no doubt they'd once again be overcome by the grief of losing their loved ones and curl up, clutching their knees.
キリエさんたちの方はどうかね。何か見つかったかね。
握って隠せる程度の石ころは見つかるわ。こんなものでも武器にはなるかも。さすがに鉄格子を削り取ることは無理でしょうね。シャノンちゃんはどう？
いいえ、何も。あ、これ電話です。
A phone?
つながってるわけもないわ。
I mean, you can try.
でもコードは何かを縛ったり武器にも使えるかも。壊して分解すれば金属部品を取り出せるわ。クラス兄さん、鉄格子を開ける鍵穴はもちろんあるわよね。
Oh, we're gonna key lock?
だいぶ鍵穴の大きい
lockpick.
大時代的なものだがね。針金のようなものでいじれば騙せるかもしれないな。
電話の金属部品で何か代用できるかもしれない。その電話武器になるわね。
Let's break the
投資
phone.
と同じだよ。情報は武器だ。
Klaus and Kitty laughed together at how they hadn't even thought of using a phone as a means of communication.
何やってんの姉さん。
その電話つながってるかなって思って。
バカだな姉さんは。
What's he doing?
あれ
After that point, Sharon let out a small surprised cry.
キリエ様
Oh, it's connected!
なんですって
Oh, let's go! Feels like when people move out of an office, taking everything with them, leaving only the telephone behind. That's the feeling the phone gave off, having been left in the corner of the cell. The cord was wound into a coil, the tip of it being swallowed by the wall, and just looking at it, there was no reason to assume that it wasn't hooked up. But to think that it actually was? Kiria took the receiver from Shannon and pressed it to her ear. Certainly directly come off a phone was a familiar sound, and this phone was certainly alive.
なんという幸運。警察へ連絡しましょう。
待ちたまえ。話がうますぎる。盗聴されているんじゃないのかね。
そんな細工するくらいなら普通は電話線を切断するわ。連中が本気で見落とした可能性が高い。
You think?
気づかれたら今度こそ電話線を切断されるかもしれないわ。警察への通報を盗聴されて何も困ることはないのだし。
Surely that was true. The point of a wiretap is to overhear some important piece of information, but the way things were right then, she couldn't think of a single thing that would come up in a conversation out to the outside world that might be troublesome to have overheard. He instantly concluded that it was more likely to be a mistake on Kinzo's part than a trap.
確かに一理あります。外線は確か0番からだ。
カノ君、私は電話するからあなたは外の様子を伺ってくれる？誰かが近づいてくる気配があったら知らせて。
はい。Who's she gonna call? Kano raced off towards the iron bar, silenced his breathing and strained his ears. As everyone present watched her, Kiria dialed 110. However, she pushed the hook down and redialed many times. It didn't seem to be working very well.
外線は0番から？ 110番は0110じゃないの？うまくかからない。
貸したまえ。私がかけよう。
Oh! Klaus took the receiver in Kiria's place and tested various things. But in the end, they were unable to notify the police. The police itself was definitely live, but the circuit was apparently cut somewhere. Did this mean that they were not so naive?
やっぱり無理ですか。
敵も甘くはないってことね。
Kitty let out a deep sigh, leaned against the wall, and hung her head for a while. As cool thinking as she was, for a brief moment she may actually have had the naive hope that the phone might actually work. She sneered at herself mockingly for holding on to that naive hope for even a single moment. Then she remembered just what was happening here. Truth be told, even after being shown a scene like that, right before her eyes, or rather exactly because of that, she still couldn't think of that gruesome mass murder as something real. It was less than she could believe it, and more that she didn't want to. Ushiromiya Kinzo killed 6 family members. He summoned strange witch-like demon-like people. Right out of thin air, and with something like magic. Began to kill people one after another. It's just all so screwed up. Even though she definitely saw it, there was no way she could accept that spectacle.
そんなことあるわけがない。あれはきっとお父様の友人か何か。それがあらかじめ食堂のどこかに隠れていて、手品的に突然姿を現して、そう考えなくちゃあのめちゃくちゃを説明できない。
But when those 6 had their heads blown apart, a golden arrow had flown around and around the room. That had truly looked like magic. Was that another thing we just saw wrong? There was no way it was magic. It was definitely some kind of setup. Since those heads were smashed, there is no doubt it was some kind of explosive. For example, a styrene toy plane like they sell at Candy Stones, paint gold, and with a powerful explosive loaded onto the end of it. However, though it had seemed to be flying about at random, Kiria couldn't imagine that after being fired 6 times, each time had perfectly hit the victim square in the head, one after the other. Give me a short second, I have to go to the bathroom. Okay, I am back. Alright, it couldn't be that there was a computer control system for finding and hitting targets, making it a high-tech Styrian plane on the same level as a guided missile, right?
そんなバカバカしい仕掛けを膨大な私費を投じて作らせたと、あのおかしな余興のために。
He might have.
お父様ならやりかねないって。
A number of mysterious people appeared out of thin air. 6 people had their heads demolished by a mysterious golden flying object, and the 5 of us were locked away in a mysterious dungeon by a mysterious set of pitfalls, or else put to sleep by some fainting poison dart. The family conference started at a bit after 10 p.m. It's only been a bit more than 30 minutes since then. Most likely, even though I witnessed myself, that event took place in such a short period of time, so I still can't understand it, and I still can't come to grip with it. For argument's sake, even if we did get a hold of the police, it would probably be impossible for anybody to accurately explain what we saw. Even though I saw it just now, my brain's fried and I have no confidence in what I saw myself. Hide tried her hardest to cheer herself out of her overwhelming confusion to just hold onto her sanity. Klaus started to become desperate, hitting the hook multiple times and resetting the dial. Klaus had also been feigning composure, but he was unable to hide his panic. The more he had tried the dial, the more pretense of serenity peeled away. I don't know what's going on anymore. Kirie couldn't help but pray that the events that had just occurred were a dream. At that time, the look on Klaus's face changed. Oh shit!
本当ですか、クラウスさん。
なるほどな。親父め、浅はかな。警察に連絡されまいと外部への電話線は切断したらしいが、内線は切断し損ねている。
Oh, okay.
内線？クラウスさんはどこにかけているの？
ゲストハウスだ。ジェシカたちの部屋の内線番号にかけている。もしもし、もしもし。お前は誰か？ゴーダか？ジェシカはいるか？無事か？
旦那様、ご無事でよかった。はい、ジェシカお嬢様たちも皆さんご無事です。
Oh, good.
父さんなの？無事でよかった。母さんは無事なの？そこにいるの
？Klaus choked on his words. Klaus had clearly seen Nazi's head crushed, had seen her killed right before his eyes. Eventually he was going to have to tell that to Jessica. However, Klaus began to fret over whether he should tell her now or not, and lost his words. But even that was an answer under these circumstances. Oh, come on! She probably knows, huh? Jessica's voice was filled with tears. Klaus was certain now. Jessica and the rest had heard everything, start to finish, after meeting up with Goda and Kumasaba at the guest house. When they learned that 6 people had been killed, they must have been anxious and rushed over to the dining hall. Luckily, he'd been able to call before they stormed off towards the mansion. Klaus was relieved at this good timing during such a tragedy.
ここには今、キリエさんと南條先生、それにシャノンとカノンがいる。地下牢のようなところに閉じ込められているが、心配するな。こっちは父さんたちで何とかする。
そうか、助けに行く。
あいにく、私たちにもここがどこだか見当もつかん。食堂の真下だと思っているが、そうでないかもしれない。とにかくジェシカ、そこを出てはならん。ゴーダたちから経緯は聞いているか？
Oh man, she's going to fight grandfather.
正常な状態にない。出くわせは危険だ。殺されるかもしれない。
Man, yeah.
私たちを助けに来ようなどと絶対に思ってはならんぞ。こっちはこっちで何とかする。
じゃあ私たちはどうすればいいの？小さなでよくも母さんたちをあの死に損ないぶっ殺してやる。
ジェシカ、 そんな言葉を使ったら母さんが悲しむぞ。レディーはそんな言葉を使うもんじゃない。
She's like, fuck being a lady, I wanna kill a man. Oh man, Jessica.
とにかくお前たちは身の安全を最優先にしろ。ゲストハウスを戸締まりするんだ。しかし過信はできない。1階のラウンジの大窓は破られるかもしれない。
I had the impression my cat was yelling.
ベッドを立てかけてバリケードにするんだ。その部屋にはトイレも冷蔵庫もある。
Grandpa Kinzo has gone psycho. Yeah, he's gone mad.
明日の朝までは籠城できるはずだ。いいな。くれぐれも物騒なことは考えるな。相手を刺激せず、隠れてやり過ごすことだけを考えるんだ。
わかったよ。父さん。
Okay. After that, Koda took the phone and was firmly told to supervise the kids well as an adult. Koda, with his face covered in cold sweat, repeatedly replied, yes sir, in an excessively tense voice. From there, Kiria took the receiver and spoke with Beato, and when Shannon and Kanon got their turns, George and Jessica answered. Following the pattern, Nanjan Kumasawa picked up as well, so that all members of both sides took the receiver in turn, confirming that everyone was safe for now, even if their location was unknown, and encouraging each other, coming to an understanding of the current situation for both sides. They wanted to talk forever, but now was not the time to chat. Klaus explained that he would be hanging up for now, and those in the guest house consented. Oh man. With that, the phone call ended. Goda and the rest of the men quickly descended to the first floor, closed the shutters, and secured the sturdy locks on the doors. However, just as Krau had worried, there was nothing that could be done about the beautiful wide windows in the first lounge. If someone broke that, it would be easy to get inside. It won't be hard for someone like Kinzo who hadn't hesitated at committing murder to invade the first floor.
おじいさまたちは武装している可能性が高い。部屋に閉じこもるのが最善かつ唯一の籠城方法になるね。自ら密室に閉じこもらざるを得ないのは苦しいところだけど、相手が銃を持っていたらそれしか方法がない。
親方様は実銃のコレクションをお持ちとの話です。
Oh yeah, all those working guns.
あれは銃だ。銃だったんだ。だとしたら恐ろしい威力の銃だ。
Yeah, a shotgun, I guess.
とても太刀打ちはできません。
The Winchester does look like a shotgun-like weapon, so.
頭を砕くなんてすげえ威力だぜ。マグナム弾とかそういう類のやつかもな。下手な扉なら平気で貫通するかもしれねえな。
だとすればますますに部屋に籠城するべきだね。ベッドを立てかけて窓も塞ごう。そこまですればいくら銃を持っていても踏み込むことはできないはず。
くそ、そんな受け身な防戦一方しかねえのかよ。
Well, that sucks, but it's the best we have.
うちの親父に上等を決めてくれてキリエさんまで捕まえたなんて。こいつは高くつくぞ。クソじじいめ。
無理です。あんな連中に太刀打ちできるわけがありません。しかも親方様だけでなく手下も何人も。あるいはあんな連中がもっといるかも。あいつらは一体何なんだ。
Well, one of them is my man. Beato was filled to the brim with the urge to get revenge for Rudolph and to rush out of here to save Kie. But just by looking at how terrified Gola was, there was no doubt in him that this would be reckless.
兄貴だって悔しいだろ。なのにここで籠城なんて。ちくしょう。
もちろんさ。僕だって悔しいよ。 両親を殺されて冷静でいられるわけがない。でもだからこそ冷静にならなくちゃいけない。僕たちが無駄に命を落とすようなことを殺された親たちが望むと思うかい？
Probably not.
思うわけがない。せめて子供だけは逃げ延びてほしいと願ってるはずだ。だから僕は、そして警察に通報し、全てを暴く。仇は法廷が取る。それが僕の復讐だ。差し違えてでも仇を取ってほしいなんて親たちが望んでいるわけもない。
I'll hand over my enemies to esteemed Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney.
そうだろう。そうだな。兄貴の言う通りだぜ。畜生クソじじいめ。何が儀式だ。俺たちがそのための生贄だって言うなら。
So if this is the 80s, maybe he could hand them over to a very, very old and crusty Naruhodo. Like Naruhodo Ryunosuke.
それにバトラ君にはまだキリエさんがいる。僕にだってシャノンがいる。とにかく慎重に行動してチャンスを待とう。僕たちの不用意な行動は囚われの彼らに不利益を与える可能性だってあるんだから。
人質。でもじい様はきっとキリエさんたちを生贄にするために捕らえたわけだろう。俺たちが助けなきゃ殺されるのを待つだけじゃないのか。
彼らが捕らえられている地下牢がどこにあるかもわからない。シャノンもカノン君も、もちろんゴーダさんも熊沢さんも知らなかった。おじい様だけしか知らない秘密の場所にある可能性が極めて高い。
Yeah, that could be possible.
そんな状況下でうろうろと歩き回るのは自殺行為だよ。
But I'm starting to wonder if this location is like somewhere in that cathedral.
わかってるよ。それでもくそ、俺たちはここで何かが起こるまで引きこもってるしかねえってのかよ。
I guess.
バトラ様のお気持ちはわかりますが、ここは安全第一で参りましょう。旦那様の話では相当古い牢屋らしいので、なんとか鉄格子を破れるかもしれないとのことでした。今は信じて待つ方が賢明です。
おじい様の手下が何人もいて、みんな武装しているんだよね。
ええ、そうで、そして多分みんな武装を。
Goda had been able to say that Kinzo had comrades with him, but he hadn't been able to mention that they were mostly young women like witches, who had used strange magic to murder. He had said that it would only cast doubt on his sanity. No, not only that, he himself still couldn't understand what he had seen and was doubting his own sanity. But regardless of sex or appearance, or regardless of whether it was done with magic or gun, the fact that those girls had followed Kinzo's orders and killed 6 people in an instant was an unshakable truth. If that group came to attack the guest house as well, what would happen? Just closing the doors and windows like this was surely meaningless. What would we do? Gold and Kumasawa. The only thing left for those two who had witnessed that massacre in the dining hall was to cradle their heads without knowing how to interpret what they had seen.
Kumasawa-san, 大丈夫？お茶飲む？
ありがとうございますね。ありがとうございます。申し訳ございませんが、しばらくそっとしていただけますか。
Maria tried to be nice, but it seemed like Kumasawa still hadn't been able to clear away her confusion.
マリア、気を使ってくれてありがとうだぜ。熊沢さんは休ませてやってくれ。
Jessica was also worried about the shock those two must have received after witnessing such a tragedy. But their wildest dreams could even come close to the unbelievable scene Kumasawa had witnessed. Nevertheless, with her mother murdered and her father captured, it wasn't as though Jessica could stay calm either. She shielded her anxiety and sadness using her anger towards Kinzo and walked irritatedly around the room.
熊沢さん。母さんは本当に死んじゃったの？
ええ、あんなひどい死に方を私は。
Let me check the time.
見たことがありませんとも。
Okay, I think I'll read the conversation between Kumasawa and Jessica, and then I'll stop for tonight. Okay. Let's hope the conversation doesn't go for too long.
手当てをすれば助かるなんてことはないんだよな。
Nope.
頭があんなことになって生きていられるわけがありません。そりゃそうだぜ。頭が砕けちまったら手当てなんて必要ねえよな。
That's true, yes. When Goda had come flying into the guest house, he had overcome with agitation told about the massacre in the dining hall without concealing anything, except for the part about the witches and magic, which they themselves still couldn't believe. In other words, he hadn't even sugarcoated the cold-blooded way in which Natsu and the others had died. It was too late now, but Kumasawa regretted the fact that they'd obviously said too much. However, while lightly shaking her head and with a slightly painful laugh, Jessica spoke.
いや、むしろ話してくれたおかげで冷静になれたぜ。頭を砕かれちまったってところを伏せられてたら、私はひょっとすると生きてるかもしれないって言って屋敷へ向かいじいさまにて食わして、ひょっとすると殺されてたかもしれない。一抹の希望が命取りになった可能性だってあるわけさ。その意味では感謝してるよ。
本当に申し訳ございません。言葉をあまりに選ばなかったことはお詫びします。
今はいいよ。母さんはもうどうしようもないけど、父さんはまだ生きてる。カノン君もシャノンもキリエおばさんも南條先生もね。なんとか彼らを助けたいし、彼らに負担をかけないためにも余計なことをするべきではない。電話の前で待機してることが今は一番の協力になるかもしれないし。
They might receive a phone call asking them to create a diversion while the others escape, or the others might discover their location and call for rescue. Jessica understood that in order to act promptly when that time came, the only thing they could do for the time being was to wait in this room. Once they had finished inspecting the downstairs area and locking up, George, Beato, and Goda returned. Each was holding various objects. George had the things like drinks, canned food, crackers, and other types of snacks he had found in the lounge and the storage room, as well as first aid kit. First, they were all consumables that would be essential during a siege. Goda had a large folding ladder and carpentry tools. Those were to seal the door from the inside, just in case. If it came to it, the ladder was for escaping out the window. Beato had brought up objects that could be used as edge weapons or poles. In addition to the obvious kitchen knife, there was a disassembled table leg that could be used as a club, and a pole roughly the size of a person, which he apparently made by taking apart a hat stand. Even though the pole had no point, it could surely be used like a spear. Damn, Beato, that was a very mischievous look. There was a good chance that their enemies had guns, so it was all dubious whether they would be any of use. But it was still better than not having them, and if having these could give them at least a little peace of mind, then they'd be useful for their calming effect. Then the bed, sofa were placed up against the door, barricading it. If they didn't go as far as to seal it up with nails, there was still a chance that Kraus and the others would escape and come to meet up with them. They had apparently set up a barricade at the top of the stairs as well. It had been set up in a way that would create a racket, so it would serve as a warning alarm as well. That had apparently been Battler's idea. For that reason, they turned the TV off. This way, if the first floor windows were to be broken, they would hear. Once the switch had been turned, all that was left was an eerie silence. A sound of violent wind and rain. Were they going to have to spend the whole night being crushed by such suspense? The boat would come tomorrow morning. However, judging by the weather report, most of tomorrow was going to be covered in the typhoon, and the boat probably wouldn't come. The typhoon was set to pass by the morning of the day after tomorrow. In other words, the boat would be arriving in the morning after the next, the morning of October 6th. And right now it was late at night on October 4th. They will have to spend more than 30 hours on this island with Kinzo turned cold-blooded murderer and his weird companions prowling around. Even with the shutters closed, there will definitely be a little bit of light seeping out. It might let the enemy know that they were hiding there. Battler suggested that it might be best to turn off the lights, but they had already been overwhelmed by a ghastly feeling just from turning the TV off. There wasn't anyone who directly challenged his proposal, but then again, there wasn't a single other person who agreed with it.
Oh, テレビダメなの？
ああ、悪いが我慢してくれ。敵の侵入の音を聞き逃すわけにはいかない。
つまんない。
Oh boy. Even though she had been told of her mother's death, Maria alone didn't feel an approaching sense of danger. She just seemed to be upset that the TV had been turned off. Even though she's in such a bizarre situation, can she not share in our sense of danger? Is it because she's so young? To Battler, even this faintly unsettling feeling from such a young girl made him sense that there was something very eerie about Maria. Okay, good spot to end then. System. Okay, perfect spot for me to end in for tonight. So, that was like 3 hours and 30 minutes of reading, so that was more than enough. Okay, shit went down today. And I'll be continuing with Umineko at some other time. Good night and sweet dreams. Thank you, Kumamaru. Let me just check something. Okay. Let me just check the schedule real quick. Okay, let's see. So next week on Tuesday we have an art stream, and on Thursday we have Jump King. So I'll be doing Umineko again in like 2 weeks from now. And in between we'll have more art streams and one stream with Jump King, which I spontaneously bought yesterday. So, alright guys. Otsukare, thank you. So like I said, next Tuesday is art. Then we'll have Jump King on Thursday next week. Then the week after that on Tuesday it's art again. But on the Thursday of that week, on the 26th, we'll have more Umineko. Alright. That being said, it's time for me to go to bed. Thank you for everybody who came tonight. And have a good night. And I'll be seeing you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.